Traveling the Vortex.
All I need is a miracle. All I need is you. All I need is a miracle. All I need is you.
We'll join Captain Jack and the Torchwood team as they defend Earth and arrive at episode number 173, where the rules of death are made up and the kills don't matter. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
That's good, Keith.
Good.
I like that one.
Thank you. We're recording a bit late, if you guys didn't realize.
We are. My apologies. Mason started getting sick on Sunday. Sunday night, he wasn't feeling good at all. And unfortunately, the unfortunate part is that Holly had to take a test because she's taking an online class to prepare to get her associate so she can go back, or so she can get her RN degree. She had a test that night, and she was afraid that if I left and she was in the middle of the test, he would wake up, which is usually the case, because if I'm there, sleeps through the night. If I'm gone, he's up 4 or 5 times. It's just Murphy's Law. So, so I called and asked if we could postpone this week. And then, of course, Keith and Sarah had things to do Monday. Sean and Mel had things to do Tuesday. So, unfortunately, we landed on today. So,
We're sorry
for the listeners.
We're sorry we didn't get anything posted letting you know that we were going to be late.
And I had intended to put a delayed. In fact, tonight at like 8:30, when I had some time, I went, I should put that. Oh wait.
We should have just posted one that said podcast canceled.
April Fool's late.
Well, did you guys do anything fun in your long week?
We got picked up by Fox, and then we got canceled.
And then immediately canceled. You want me to start?
Sure.
I wrote mine down because I knew.
Sean, why don't you start?
I knew once I got a week and a half away, I was going to forget everything I did last week.
We're in the final grind toward school coming up. I've got like 3 weeks till 2 weeks left. I don't know. So we've got a lot of papers and finals and things that are just maddening. And
how many more weeks?
I don't even know. It's just there. There's a finish line out there somewhere, but it's in the fog still. I think it's 2.5 at this point.
Just barely see the ribbon.
It's close enough to be panic mode, but still far enough away that you're like, I got time to finish it. I actually have a project. Yeah, I actually have a project due tomorrow in Murder, Media, and Mayhem, and it's a three-man project. We have to do a presentation in class. I have met with one of the guys once. I've not met with the other guy. He was texting me furiously today going, so what am I responsible for? It's like, dude, on Wednesday? It's due tomorrow. I felt like yelling at him, Doc, Monday. I can't wait for winter. But admittedly, I haven't written I've got the PowerPoint done, which in my mind is the hard part. So I've got that done, but I haven't actually written the thing yet. And then I've got
writing's nothing.
12-page paper that I need to write in social media class.
By tomorrow?
No, that one's
okay, good.
I don't know when that one's due, but it's coming up. And then I have to write another paper for Murder, Media, and Mayhem about how crime escalation is happening, and I'm going to liken it to the supervillains in Batman. That Batman came along, right, and then all the supervillains got better. So, it's his fault.
Well, it's Superman's fault.
And we're editing our final project in video effects editing, and got everything set and ready to go, and the fourth member of that team turned in his computer animation segment.
If you could see the look on Sean's face.
Oh, it's not what we asked for, not what he promised. And I very much feel that director's pain when you have to take the hat off and put the producer's hat on and go. So he's redoing it tonight and re-rendering it, and we're supposed to have it first thing tomorrow, so that we can start over on that particular portion of it, because we took what we had and thought, well, this is as good as it's going to get. And then he was like, I misunderstood you. I can fix that. I'm like, okay. But now it means we have to get it from him tomorrow, and then re-put the new effects on top of his effects, and then re-put it in the green screen, and then re-sync it up with the sound and all that nonsense, because it's part of that green screen package, which we were trying to do all at once. So yeah, we're starting over on that. But at the same time, the other group in the class that are like
just
maybe at
this,
the halfway point.
Consider
so.
the first part dress rehearsal.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Considering that we were done shooting at spring break,
Yeah.
so it's been all post. Okay, but
That's how it works in the real world on a much larger scale.
Much larger scale. So that's that side of things, and then actually did. We watched a couple of movies that we snuck. Well, no, we watched. We've been watching Miracle Day, and we watched Escape from Planet of the
Wait,
Apes.
we're not doing Children of Earth?
No, we're not doing Children of Earth.
Oh, man.
Surprise!
Dun, dun, dun.
We better postpone this till tomorrow. I got to run and watch
There will be a brief pause in the action now. Some traveling music. I thought we watched something else, but I guess not. I guess it's been all because it was one of those things where I honestly kind of I got time. We're only doing 5 episodes, and so I put it off, and then literally it was like Friday night. I went, oh man, I got to watch 5 hours of TV this weekend, and I work all weekend, and so we were burning through them, and of course I've seen it. Yeah. So, it wasn't necessarily that big a deal, but I really wanted a refresher because it's been a while since I've seen it.
Well, since it aired.
And so I started up the first one, and I was like, Mel, do you mind if I, she's like, nah, go ahead. Well, then she got kind of stuck watching it and kind of got sucked back in. She goes, well, can we watch another one? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, we watch another one. Help me do my homework, sure. So I only had 3 of the 5 done when you guys said, I think we're going to postpone for Sunday. And I was like, okay, cool. I mean, again, not that I couldn't have come in with a review because I have seen them.
For recall, yeah.
But I really wanted to be fresh for it, so we finished that up. But then we watched Apes, but we'll talk about Apes. So that was my week.
Damn dirty apes!
I got a lot of progress made on Lego Marvel.
Yeah, you burned through like 5 bricks just in the time I was here.
93% done.
Wow.
I've got over 200 gold bricks, which means I've got all the red bricks, and therefore unlock Deadpool. I've got upwards of 75 of the 115 characters. So I'm making good progress.
Wait, how many? 75 of the 115?
Yeah. So I have 30? I'm just doing math off the top of my head.
No.
I did something else, but
It'd be 25 to 100 and then another 15, so 40.
40. Yeah, pretty close. What'd you do?
I did something else, but we'll talk about it in the news. So.
Okay. Well, and then
I assume we're talking about it in the news, aren't we?
The tweet along to X-Men, which was fun.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know that was going to be that night. Not that I could have joined in, but I just happened to look down and went, oh, that's tonight, huh? I'm going to bed.
Glenn spearheaded that one.
Well, thanks for letting me know that was going on.
The X-Men one?
Yes.
Yeah. I did. I think I copied you in the post. Where I
on the
asked
Facebook
everybody
post,
else.
yeah.
I didn't see it.
We're doing X2, hopefully.
Facebook decided I
tomorrow.
only needed to see top stories instead of most recent, so I missed out on it.
You don't have my posts flagged so that they notify you immediately?
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I have you guys set up for notifications, so as soon as you post something, I see it.
See, but if you tagged them, it should have showed up in a notification anyway.
That's true. But no, I have mine set up for anything you guys post. I had that for my sister too, but she posts so much crap.
That's why I haven't done that for
disabled
anybody.
that.
Because I tend to.
You guys are pretty moderate.
I tend to make it all the way through my feed in the day, so I usually see if somebody posts.
I can't even keep up with the photo challenges right now. So I've got, which is sad because I've got I've got all these that I'm going to do. Sure, yeah. I'm sorry, Brittany. I've kind of fallen off the wagon.
There's a couple people that just jumped on at 22.
Yeah, I think you're right. Over the course of, 3 days, maybe 4 days, I caught up 12 days, 13 days, something like that. I'm caught up. No, I'm not. It's
I got
already
today's.
Thursday.
I'll warn you, at some point in time, there may be a litany of photos coming your way.
Then we had a good Easter.
That was this weekend.
We did a little something different for Audie.
That's why
for
I
the
wrote
eggs.
mine down.
We didn't. I worked.
We got Lego kit because he's really into Lego kits, and split up the pieces among the eggs with the candy and
Ooh.
and money, and he got an egg in the basket with a letter from the Easter Bunny explaining the situation, and the egg in the basket had the instructions.
The bunny can write?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a smart bunny.
Smart bunny.
Didn't you see Guardians of... not Guardians, Rise of the Guardians?
Rise of the Guardians.
Haven't seen it yet.
You would like it.
It's,
I think
well, I don't know. There's an anthropomorphized rabbit, so maybe not. But.
But the Easter Bunny is an anthropomorphized.
Oh, you don't have a problem with that?
No.
Surprised you like the
Did
Easter.
you see my favorites of Doctor Who post today? You realize
No.
today's was favorite anthropomorphized alien, right?
Oh, was it?
Yep.
I have to look this up now.
But he liked it, and then we went over to my cousin's for dinner.
Do it on Instagram because I think it cuts the text off on some of it.
Well, I can't do it on Facebook because, it won't be a most recent.
And then Escape from the Planet of the Apes. I don't think I did anything else. What'd you do, Glenn?
As you mentioned, the X-Men tweet along last week, which was a lot of fun, and thank you for everybody joining. And if you're listening to this, you'll probably be tomorrow morning. So tonight, Thursday night, we're going to try and do X2 X-Men at same time, 11:30 p.m. Central Daylight
11:30?
Time.
Because you put on your Facebook post at 11.
Correct. I mean 11:30.
Because we did
No, I
X-Men.
put 11.
We did X-Men at
I put
11:15.
11:30. Yeah, you're right. We did. But
Did
I
you
think
go back and
I
edit
think
it?
I pushed it. No, I'm sure I put it at 11:30. Dang it.
I could be wrong.
I'll amend that.
So which is it? 11:15, 11:30.
11:30 is what it needs to be.
Okay.
Yeah. I just because last time I was pushing it,
Yeah, you.
and then of course last night it was all my update night for. I got home.
And I just barely got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in time.
Oh yeah. I saw you
And
were
we
watching
should
it.
make reference to the nice Doctor Who
Yay!
reference in the show.
There's a Who reference?
There is a Who
Apparently,
reference.
this is the second one.
Yeah, it is the second.
There's been a TARDIS sighting in one
Oh,
of
is
the
that right? Well,
episodes.
Simmons has mentioned something about Doctor Who.
Oh, really? I don't remember that.
Early on, she said something.
Because I think Reese posted that Fitz had a TARDIS somewhere in his lab.
Like. Well played, Glenn. Well played.
On Friday, I downloaded Doctor Who Legacy 2.0.
Oh, yeah, we got the updates.
Was that what you're going to talk about?
That's what I was
News?
gonna talk
Okay.
about.
Well, I'll save
that was in
I'll
the-
save that one for
We
news.
didn't have that listed in our news.
We didn't?
Pre-show.
I thought for sure.
Not in pre-show.
Oh, okay.
We didn't, but we'll add it. I'll allow it.
I'll allow it.
I saw Divergent. Well, Holly and I saw Divergent, and we had dinner at Casa for our anniversary on Saturday. And
Happy anniversary.
Divergent.
Happy
Thank you very
anniversary.
much. Divergent is a very good movie.
Really?
Very good movie. Now, Divergent is one of those books that I read, and it was okay. But I had come off of reading the 3 Hunger Games, and I think my expectations were a little high. And I didn't quite like Triss in the book, and I thought she was, I don't know, just kind of a moderately average character. And maybe too mopey, too moody. And then in the movie, the girl that plays Triss, who did a really good job, she kind of takes it the other way, which I didn't expect. So I think if I could take that character and meet in the middle with the two versions of it, it would be even better. But yeah, it's really well done. It stays pretty loyal to the book. There was one part where I thought they had changed something, but as Holly and I kind of talked about it, we're not sure that they actually even changed it. And then, so yeah, overall good movie. I highly recommend it.
So now the ultimate question is, somebody who had not read the book, would they enjoy it?
I think so. Absolutely think so. In fact, if I had only seen the movie and not read the book, I would have really, really enjoyed probably going back and reading the book. Because that's another thing is I kind of like the way a lot of things were portrayed on screen that I had imagined differently. And so had I seen the movie and then read the book, I probably would have enjoyed the book a little better. So, in fact, it spurred me because I stalled out. I haven't read Insurgent, which I think is the next one. And I stalled out because I just wasn't that impressed with Divergent. So I just kind of never got the motivation to read Insurgent. Now, having seen the movie, I'm excited to go and go on and read Insurgent and Legion, I think is the last one. So, but yes, Chrissy, you're right.
Which
It's
they
an
announced
awesome
split
movie.
into two.
Huh?
They announced that one's going to be 2 movies.
Yes. Oh, I'm so sick and tired of this. 2 movies. All right, and then Easter was dinner with the family and egg hunts and fun stuff.
Sam and Cody brought Katrina up to work to see me on Easter because I didn't get to do because I was working, so I didn't get to be part of the thing. And she came running in, "Hi, Pop," and she's got this big old welt on her face, and I went, "What happened?" Apparently, she ran face first into a bush. She was chasing that elusive Easter egg and just wham. And I feel terrible because the kid...
There it is.
Well, she's entering that awkward phase, I guess, which you know about this, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
This is all new to me. So there's an awkward phase. Yeah. Last week she came over and she had Band-Aids all over herself because she had fallen down, but the Band-Aids were on her knees and her elbows. So apparently she came down, she fell and went and landed on all fours, but like this. Yeah. It's like, what made you decide that was a good idea? I'm trying to think through the physics of that.
She might have had something in her hands.
Yeah, well, yeah, don't break it.
Can't let go.
But yeah, she was. Mel said she was standing there watching her, and she just came right around this tree or this bush, and just decided to dive head first into it, and just bam, hit her head. So she's all scraped up right now.
Poor girl.
And Sam's like, "I promise I'm not beating her," and it's like, "You better not be. I'll kill you." So.
Sunday night, which we talked about, Mason was sick, and then he stayed home Monday.
I ate too much candy.
He's got strep again. So, but he's getting his tonsils out in June, so hopefully that will do away with that altogether.
Yay.
Got caught up this last week on Game of Thrones, so I'm entirely caught up all the way up to this last Sunday's show.
That's the part I can't believe.
I just blew through those, yeah. Oh man, that series is so good, so good.
When do we get to say?
I have a little bit of trepidation with the last two episodes of how the
Where the story's going to go?
Not even that, because I've never known where the story was going to go. I had some assumptions, but it's always taking these twists and turns and misdirections, and I love that about it. But there's always been kind of a narrow thread of consistency. I don't know if that makes any sense, of the style of the show, and it seems to be turning that on its ear, which could be a good thing, but also could be a bad thing. So I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anybody that hasn't seen it, but they're going directions with it.
I don't quite see the style change.
One of the thing is I have felt that Jamie's growth has been an
and
enjoyable
that
ride,
kind of
where you've gone from hating to, and as we talked the other day, I kind of got this Sawyer vibe from Lost, that was really kind of how it was going, and then
yeah, he kind of gets
undercut
this week.
was undercut.
I've read that.
Undercut, overcut.
I spoiled
middle
myself
cut.
on that. Even though
Oh,
I
you
haven't
hadn't seen this week?
I haven't, because we're a week behind in the group.
Okay.
And for 2 weeks now, 2 weeks running, I've managed to, because, you can't log on to the internet on Monday.
Especially last week's.
Oh, you think you had it bad.
Well, there's extensions now that you can block, like in Chrome, you can block certain phrases. So
cool.
it will eliminate spoilers for you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That is the
I've seen a
coolest
couple
invention
of articles
ever.
about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So any post about Game of Thrones will just disappear from any of your feeds.
Because anytime I was going through my feed and I saw game, it might have been Game of the Week. If it's a game, I went and just shot up past it. Okay, I'm not going to look at that. Because, well, the thing was, last week's episode, not this last weekend, but the weekend before, which was a huge deal. Everybody kept going, oh, be real careful. Be real careful. Something huge happened. And so I kept thinking, oh, God, okay, I've just got to make it to the end of it. So got through it, and I got through that one without getting spoiled at all. And then, but this is what made it even worse.
The one,
I have to be very careful.
The one from 2 weeks
The Purple Wedding.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Royal
I think
Wedding.
I can safely say that.
The Royal Wedding.
The Royal Wedding.
The Purple Wedding.
Same thing.
No, it's the Purple Wedding.
Purple is the royal color.
Yeah, but it's hashtag the Purple Wedding because of the Red Wedding from the season before that. So anyway, I got to that episode and I started watching, and it's worse when you know there's something huge coming, but you don't know about it because your mind starts going everywhere, going, oh no. And there's a certain particular character that I've grown to absolutely love. And when it got to a point in the show and the scene that was going on that was very uncomfortable, was more uncomfortable for me because I thought, oh, no, not him, please. No, not him, please. No, not him, please. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So when what really happened, I went, okay. Good. And then it kind of hit me. I was like, "Oh wow!"
There was much rejoicing. Yay!
So that's how I was with.
After the following week's episode, I just got a little curious, so I just picked up the 5th book, and just flip through it. Okay.
Is that the one where you spoiled yourself on a dust jacket? No, you spoiled
No,
something.
I spoiled the previous episode, the
That's
one you're
right,
talking
that's
about.
right.
He spoiled
on
the royal wedding.
That
The
would be
on
purple
book
wedding.
4. On book 4.
I know it's really the royal wedding, but everybody has hashtagged it the purple wedding. That's why I knew something was going to go wrong. When everybody was hashtagging it purple wedding, I went, oh no.
Well, we should know by now weddings are not a good thing on the show.
No.
Weddings are not
Well,
a
I
good
think
thing.
only Daenerys' wedding was the only one that didn't end in bloodshed. Spoilers.
Yeah.
You may be right.
But that was so early on, we didn't know to worry about it.
No, to worry about.
Yeah,
weddings.
no, because we haven't seen the one from this week,
although
this most
to
current
be-
one.
There was another wedding that didn't go horribly wrong. It wasn't a happy wedding, but it didn't go horribly wrong. In season, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was bad, but it wasn't.
It wasn't red wedding.
It wasn't
bad.
red or purple wedding. Shocking.
No, I just went and picked up the book to see if there was a character in that book. Because I was a little worried after last episode.
Leave the books on the shelf.
I've never been too worried about spoilers in the show. Yeah, actually.
Why is my script only 20 pages?
That's the only one I wouldn't mind being spoiled on. And we're doing a lot of hand gestures over here, guys, because we don't want to spoil anybody that's not watching. So that's the only one that I wouldn't mind.
That's the
being
one I was
spoiled.
like, I'm curious. Because the way the episode ended, and they could depart drastically.
Yeah, although they
Which
haven't much. So.
They have
They've
some
changed
a little bit,
timelines,
but yeah.
Well, supposedly
Mostly
the thing from this week is supposedly
the tone of that
yeah.
changes because of his return.
and how it's put together.
He just gets
compared
back.
to the book.
He had just gotten back. Yeah.
But that's
I really
the
wanna
thing
now
that I've
just-
been spoiled on because everybody was talking about the tonal shift of that, and I went, "What are you talking?" Oh,
But yeah, I hadn't watched it come Monday morning.
Yeah,
And I'm on internet and IO9's headline is so we got to discuss that scene. Has Game of Thrones gone too far? And I went,
Did you
oh,
click the
man.
link?
No, because I went and watched it. I went, okay, I'm going to go watch and find out what the.
That's
and
the
then
nice
it was
thing is they do a good
wasn't
job
bigger deal than I
of,
thought it was.
especially like IO9, is avoiding spoilers in their snippets.
Oh, yeah, they're real
you
good.
knew who was going to be involved, but you didn't know what was going to happen.
Right. Well, I didn't even know who was going to be involved
Well,
because
the
the picture
picture
was completely different.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, the picture. I saw a
In fact,
different picture.
I assumed that particular scene was what went. Yeah, no. Well, another.
I'm sorry. If I'm on the internet and I'm writing anything about
Another.
Game of Thrones, that's the picture I use, just because I want to make people worry. That's the one right there.
No, so I thought it was that scene, and then I thought, oh no, I like that character too. What are they doing that could be so horrible? And then when I saw it, I went, oh, this is what they're referring to.
Yeah.
I'm actually
Which
kind
I
of
don't think
surprised.
it was as bad as
We've spent
everyone
way
made
too
it.
long talking about
Yeah, I
something
know.
that we have to be super cryptic
But
on.
everyone who is caught up knows exactly what we're
That's
talking
exactly
about.
true. That
I'm
is
kind of
so
surprised
true.
that
is
the
so true.
purple wedding went the way that it did.
Oh, I was. Yeah.
I mean,
I was blown away by the fact that they've decided. That's another reason why, going back to my statement, is that it seems like something that, kind of that small, narrow thread of something that has been established was completely put on kilter. Even though we've had these shocking moments, Red Wedding maybe was the first inkling
First
of that
big one.
But it wasn't even outside of this one thread it was outside of this one thread that I was seeing, and so it just.
I think the thread is still there. It's just slightly different.
But I see whose stories it is now. Who the entire arc, whose story it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go.
You just didn't
again.
realize.
Like,
well,
nope, that's not his story either.
you just didn't realize early on who the story was
Yes.
when it really still was there.
remind me when we're done. I have this wild, outlandish end of show theory.
Well, I don't know if I want to know it then.
Okay, because I'm right. So I'll just seal it in an envelope, and we'll.
No, I'm just kidding.
When George R. R. Martin gets done writing these 50 years from now, we'll open it up and see.
Well, the TV series will
We'll be
blow up
done.
before he gets to it. They've signed 4 more seasons.
Well, it's officially back for 2 more seasons for sure.
So it'll be 7.
But that's not going to be I don't think that's going to be the end. That'll be 6, or is it 3? Or did they sign for 3 more seasons?
I thought it was
4
3
now.
or 4.
I thought they had confirmed 7.
They had said it was going to end around 7 or 8, but it's officially been picked up for 2 more seasons.
Okay.
That might be it then.
I shared it with the group. This completely awesome link that James shared with me at work, which pretty much exactly sums up my thoughts on this show. If you get the opportunity and you're watching Game of Thrones, Honest Movie Trailers has done a Game of Thrones trailer for all 3 seasons. Now, obviously,
good, I can watch it now.
There are spoilers if you haven't seen them, and it warns you right up front.
It doesn't go into season 4 at all.
It doesn't go into 4 at all, but there are spoilers for 1 through 3 if you haven't seen them. But if you have seen them, go look up Honest Movie Trailers and enjoy.
Yeah, very funny.
Nice. Back to what I was doing this week. I think I already talked about listening to Something Inside. Got caught up on Brittany's favorites
Not on the
of Doctor
show,
Who.
I don't think we did.
Oh, okay. Well, I actually went ahead and listened to Something Inside, which is the next 8th Doctor Big Finish audio story in line. Don't worry, we're not reviewing it yet. It's not even on the schedule, but I got excited. Again, I got reinvigorated having listened to our last one that we did, which was Timeworks. I got excited and went on. So, and I may keep going because this, I give you a little tiny mini review. Pretty good. I got caught up on Brittany's favorite Doctor Who photo challenge. I don't know if I mentioned that on show or not. We talked so much before the show. I can't remember what we've talked about yet. And then we went off on a tangent on Game of Thrones. And then finished Torchwood Miracle Day this morning. So. Which I had not seen the final 2 episodes back when it aired, so
But we're not talking about that this week.
But I have now officially seen episodes 9 and 10, which I didn't see before. So
should we kind of give our
that's all
synopses of our dissertation before we recorded of Escape from the Planet of the Apes? Our discussion about it, or
we should talk a little bit about Planet. Yeah.
How awesome it is,
our
and how good it is.
We've come down on
and how it's better than Glenn remembers.
It wasn't that great. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Any ape film is a good film, unless it's a Tim Burton one. That's my stance.
I don't even hate
the only good ape film is a dead ape film.
I don't hate Tim Burton's films. I don't think it's I don't think it's a non-good film.
There are some really good elements. There are some really good elements to Tim Burton's film.
It's there. It just is nowhere near the caliber of
any of the other.
It unfortunately suffers greatly from. What a great idea!
Well, no, it's not even. It's not even very Tim Burtonized.
When they first announced it, when they first said we're going to remake Planet of the Apes, my first thought was
no.
My first thought was no. My second thought was, well, if you get Tim Burton, it would look interesting. Because keep in mind, at the time that this came out, this was before he went into that weird Alice in Wonderland Tim Burton. You know what I'm talking about? Before he
did Charlie and Chocolate Factory.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. All of his films since then have kind of had that very distinctive.
There's been shades of that for a long time.
Well, but not to this extent.
Beetlejuice, even Batman, to a point.
But not to this extent.
More so with Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, Edward Scissorhands.
That was where you first saw his style.
Yeah. Well, but that one
on full display.
That one was appropriate, though.
Yeah,
but now he's kind of
absolutely
borrowing from that substantially. But I thought, I would like to see Tim Burton do Planet of the Apes. I think he could do it justice. And then they announced Tim Burton's going to do Planet of the Apes. I went, all right, rock on. And there are moments of it that definitely work.
Yeah.
And it's got some pretty good casting. It suffers from...
The makeup is phenomenal.
The makeup is phenomenal.
It's the best way you could do that until we got to Rise with 3D motion capture.
Yeah. But it suffers greatly from a piss-poor plotting. The story just...
The plotting is the weakest.
For making a remake of something, it was already laid out for you. All you had to do was this.
And quite...
too much.
Quite frankly, I enjoy the film until the end. And it's the end that makes everything
climax
fall.
At the...
It makes everything fall apart.
When the actual chimp shows up is when it falls apart. Because even up to that point, I'm okay with it.
I suppose.
It's when he comes back and it's like, wait, what?
Well, that causes some pretty severe problems, but it's difficult to follow.
Even the absolute ending, I don't have a big problem with.
Well, I don't know that you guys explained it to me.
Now that I got my index card in the DVD that explained the ending. Let's talk about where you failed.
I love that.
I have problems with this
Your
anti-hero
that requires an index card.
That's a whole nother
You've done
story.
it wrong.
With the anti-hero that Marky Mark plays through this whole thing, where it's like, at any point in time, you could be the hero. You could have the relatively hot chimp and you could be the leader of these people. You
Wait,
could
whoa,
throw the
whoa,
erosion.
whoa, whoa. Did you just say relatively hot?
The
chimp?
relatively hot chimp, yes.
Helena Bonham Carter.
She was relatively hot as a chimp. I'm sorry, I think Kim Hunter was hot as Zira.
Yeah.
Still
Right.
chimp, but, you know.
What?
The Nova replacement was no Nova
The
replacement.
no-
No,
yeah,
no,
well,
no,
that, yeah, that's
No one
definitely
can
true.
replace Nova.
At any rate, so at any point in time, he could cease being a jerk and embrace the fact that he's been put up as the hero that he's going to have to be. And he doesn't. He rebels against it actively through the whole thing. And he's just a dislikable character. And it's like, I get anti-hero. I understand that. We've got anti-heroes that we root for in the film. You look at Snake Plissken, or you look at Taylor in the original, who's pretty much an anti-hero. And I get that. But he became so unlikable following this arc that it was just like, I really don't
I think
care
the difference
anymore.
is having the villain of, while Tim Roth did a great job in the role, the way that villain was written is so different from Zaius as a villain, where Zaius is an intellectual villain and Tim Roth was more of a physical villain. And I think that's one of the bigger missteps they made in it.
I
Instead
agree.
of having an intellectual villain. And then his anti-hero arc wouldn't have been so drastic, because then you would have maybe seen something different.
Well, if you had balanced out Thade being a
Thade,
physical
thank you, that's his
villain
name.
with, all right, it's going to come to fisticuffs, let's fight, and had a sword fight or something at the end. I don't know. Maybe that would have.
It tried to walk the line of being an intellectual film and not at the same time.
Yeah, and it just didn't work. And then yes, there was here's an index card explaining this physics of the science of the ending.
So Beneath the Planet, or
But that's not the movie.
But
we
that's not
watched.
the
but
movie.
yeah,
we watched.
Escape from the Planet of the Apes was pretty good.
I love that film, and I think I tweeted it out.
That's much better the third view.
I think part of my affection for apes and monkeys in general is Ricardo Montalban's speech that he gives to Zero. I think that just imprinted on me at such a young age that I'm like, apes, yes.
I remember as a kid when he shows up, I thought, oh, here's the real villain. That's what I really did. I thought he was because I knew him as Khan.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, this guy's going to end up being the real villain. I mean, he's got monkeys locked up, for crying out loud, and apes. And so, yeah, so that was a pleasant surprise the first time I saw that. I went, oh, he really is a good guy. He really does care for the apes.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But if you haven't seen Beneath or the first one, you kind of need to see those
You're
first.
very much going to need to see that.
Very much so. Yeah, because there's no get because you get
can't
enough
jump into
flashback information in Beneath the Planet of the Apes to kind of figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
This
you
one,
get some. You get some. It would be interesting to show this to somebody who's never seen a Planet of the Apes film, who maybe knows the cliffhanger and that's it.
I love, without saying too much, I love how the middle two parts of this, well, not exactly the middle two parts, but 2 and 3 are kind of the beginning and end. So
Yeah.
often they make it a whole thing.
Which it's partially, I think that is partially also why I like this one so much, is that it sets up the circular events.
That's totally last night when I remembered that I was like, oh, he
That
likes the
explains it.
timey-wimey aspect of this.
There's just so much
Before
win
I
in
knew what
this one.
timey-wimey was.
There's so much win. I agree. It's a radical departure in tone from what we've seen before and what will come later. But I really,
I think another big win is Roddy McDowell back.
Roddy McDowell back is definitely huge, and Kim Hunter sells it. I mean, we talked about this a little bit on Twitter.
Such a good job.
Just being able to make you care for this character despite the prosthetics and everything that's going on.
What she really gets, this is kind of her film.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Oh yeah, more than any of the other ones.
Even more so than Cornelius. I mean, this
Oh, yeah.
really centers around her.
Roddy doesn't really get to shine until the next one.
Right.
Oh, the next,
And he's
the next
not
two
even,
really.
he's not even Cornelius.
He's not
in it.
Cornelius.
He's Milo, isn't he?
Oh, he's Caesar.
Oh, he is Caesar.
He
That's
gets the name of Caesar,
Yeah.
but he's playing Milo.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's the line. And does the male talk too? Only when she lets me. I mean, that pretty much sums up.
Oh, and it perfectly sums up the relationship in the first movie, the second movie. I mean, it stays so consistent with their characters. And I think that's partially why I'm not as big of a fan of Beneath, is because I like them so much that them not being in it as much makes me not like it as much.
Okay, I can see that as well.
Yeah,
And
they're almost kind of more footnotes.
Why this ending almost has more of an impact on me than the Beneath ending.
See,
because I love the characters
That
so
was
much.
the first time, with Beneath, that was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that done in film, ever.
Well,
and
yeah.
so it left such a huge impact
Yeah.
on me that I was like, I think that's probably mostly why I like it. But the best.
Eric Braeden. Soap star extraordinaire.
Sean grew up with him.
I did. He was
On
in my
his
house
TV.
every day.
All
I
right.
watched every summer.
Have we covered everything?
I think
I think
should,
so.
should we move on to news?
Move on to news. First up, a classic DVD compendium is going to be published.
Or condemnum, as I call it.
It's being written by Paul Smith, and it's going to be due out this summer. And so pretty much it compiles every single disc that's ever been released and cross-references every DVD, and it gives spoiler-free story outlines. So no surprises are ruined. And I believe that it also gives like a list of bonus features included on all of these. So it's going to be a quite comprehensive book, it looks like. It is very ambitious. It doesn't say if you can find them or what the price point will be, but that's not something you could categorize that when you publish it, but it would change so much. So that's going to be pretty neat. Keep an eye out for that when it comes out. It's the publisher is Wonderful Books, who have done previously the Wonderful Book of Doctor Who 1965, the Doctor Who 8th Anniversary Special, and as well as a time and space visualizer. So if you're familiar with those,
I'm actually
you'll
familiar with those. I don't own them, but I'm familiar with those.
Yeah.
The for such an ambitious project, I can imagine it's probably going to be a relatively high price point.
I would think so. There's
To-
no price or official date. So
I'm excited for that. That's cool.
yeah, and I hope it really. It doesn't say specifically, but I hope it gathers and compares regular edition to special edition, because I think that'd be interesting to look
I
and
think
see
so.
what would be different.
Yeah, I think so. All right.
Also, 2014 Hugo nominations have been released. Not only The Day of the Doctor and Name of the Doctor have been nominated, but An Adventure in Space and Time and The Five-ish Doctors have been nominated.
Yay. I'm glad Five-ish Doctors got nominated.
To round out the Best Dramatic Presentation short form, the other nominations are Game of Thrones, The Reigns of Castamere, Red Wedding,
Oh, okay.
and Orphan Black. I'm not sure which episode, but if you guys haven't seen that show, you need to go watch it.
No, but Doctor Who Legacy sure thinks I need to go watch it too.
That's another thing I did this week. It returned for season
Orphan
2,
Black did?
and it's so good.
Huh.
Season 1 is now available to stream on Amazon Prime. Glenn,
Well, I don't have Amazon Prime.
you don't? I thought you did.
Anymore. Nope. Gave that one up last year, especially after I decided to go up in price.
Yeah, but with the HBO edition, I'm glad I have it. You see that their deal with?
Oh, I didn't?
Yeah, they're adding a bunch of HBO shows that
Oh,
have never
wow.
been able to stream before.
Oh, wow.
Not Game of Thrones. And it looks like anything that was aired 3 years ago, or so. Once a 3-year mark hits when it airs, it will be put on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
That way, it doesn't take a dip out of their DVD sales, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, if you're a Hugo member, go vote for one of the 4 Doctor Who things nominated.
And congratulations to them
Yeah.
for their for getting the nomination.
I'm sorry, but I think Day of the Doctor's probably going to cinch that title.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thoughts?
It's up against Red Wedding.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is a juggernaut. Although I don't think it's the only Emmy it's ever won was Best Title Sequence.
Really?
Well, think of how the Emmy's done. They get presented one episode to watch in review.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why after the
Yeah,
first
that's a
season,
good point.
Lost never won any Emmys.
That's a good point.
Because it's in this middle of the story that you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you can look at it based off of acting and everything, but you can't judge it on a story because
You'd
it's
be-
a section of the story.
Right.
You'd be totally
Right.
stuck with, was it well directed or maybe acted?
Yeah,
but
that,
not.
that's
Did
all.
it
That's all-
look pretty?
That's why Game of Thrones I don't think will ever win best drama. If it didn't, since it didn't in the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it's. But being Hugo members, well, that's why he won. I think he might have won Best Supporting Actor. But see, that's why, yeah. But
You can say it right here. We're not spoiling it.
Peter Dinklage. But I think Hugo member.
Is it
Hugo,
Dinklage? I thought it was Drinklage.
I think it's Dinklage, isn't
I
it?
thought it was Dinklage.
In the bar, here I come. I think Hugo are more
Dinklage.
fans.
Dinklage.
Dinklage.
Isn't Hugo done by more fan based? Like, it's not.
I don't remember how Hugo
I thought you
works.
had to be a member.
Is that
something.
the Nebulous?
Maybe Nebula is what I'm thinking of.
Well, I thought Hugo was the Nebula Awards.
I'm looking.
I
Hold
think
on.
it's Hugo Awards. Or Hugo has the Nebula Award. I can't remember now.
It's so confusing. Anyway, if you're
yeah.
go vote if you remember.
If
not,
you're able.
if you're able. If
vote
not,
early
cross
and
your
vote
fingers.
often.
Hugo Awards are a set of awards given annually for best science fiction or fantasy works and achievements of the previous year. The awards are named after Hugo Gernsback, the founder of the pioneering science fiction magazine Amazing Stories, and were officially named the Science Fiction Achievement Awards until 1992. Really?
I knew it was. Yeah.
I didn't know it was that recent. Organized and overseen by the World Science Fiction Society, the awards are given each year at the annual World Science Fiction Convention as the central focus of the event.
Yeah.
If
So
you're part of
convention
the-
goers.
If you're part of the...
the convention membership,
Okay.
you can vote.
The Hugo Awards are also termed as among the highest honors bestowed on science fiction and fantasy, as opposed to something like, the MTV Movie Awards.
Right.
So,
Or the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award.
People's choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the Oscar. Oh, wait.
Another thing that is
and
cool.
it is chosen
but-
by attending members of the World Annual Science Fiction Convention.
That's what he just
So,
said.
That's what I thought.
he's right. I was confirming.
Verify.
But Nebula is still different.
Yeah.
Too many awards. Toby Hidok is going to release a DVD at some point because he is has filmed My Stepson Stole My Sonic Screwdriver and will be filming Moss Ate My Doctor Who Scarf and do a DVD combo and release that at some point.
Cool.
He's going to perform them as a double bill. Did perform them as a double bill on November 17th of last year. And that's the one that's going to be released on DVD. There's no date announced or regions, so we don't know if we're getting that in the
I
U.S.
bet we don't.
So maybe lobby Big Finish to release it. I
So
don't
who's
know. I don't know
taking
who's doing it.
The
Considering he works for it, so
the Nebula Awards are awarded by the Science
Wait,
Fiction
Toby
and Fantasy.
Haydock works for Big
well,
Finish?
he has a podcast with Big Finish.
Is that who does his who releases, who produces his podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that.
The Who's Round.
I mean, I think he's a contract
yeah, I think
worker because he's done stuff for BBC Worldwide and,
Yeah.
I think
and
he's
To
written.
Entertain.
He's written
and-
for Big Finish, I think.
Oh, has he? Okay.
think so.
Well, but I know BBC Audio released the scarves for sure, but
Oh.
I don't remember about. Yeah, it's on audio. I've heard it. I have never seen or I haven't heard Sonic Screwdriver yet. But
The Nebula Awards, by the way, are organized and awarded by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America. So,
all right, and then our last bit of news: Legacy
Doctor Who Legacy updated. We finally got season 5.
2.0. Rise.
Perks.
Is it Rise of the Master or Return of the Master?
Rise.
I think it's Rise.
So how you guys doing on it?
I haven't started it yet.
You really haven't?
I really have. Now,
Just no time, huh?
well, yes and no. I've been playing, but I'm still.
You haven't started season 5.
I've started.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you're using perks and everything.
I'm
though,
using
right?
perks,
Okay.
and I love perks when I think I get them to work properly. Not that there's.
Well, it sure makes you think differently about
Yeah,
your
it really
team.
does.
I'm going to preface this by saying none of this is the fault or downfall of anybody on the Legacy team. It's purely my mismanagement of my team that has caused any problems. But I put a perk in, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. And then it doesn't do what I think it's supposed to do, or I'm like not understanding what it does.
Right.
And so it's like, wow, that was kind of worthless. So then I change it up and I do something else. And it's like, oh, but I really need this with this person. So I change out the person in order to get that perk to work, and then my team falls apart. It's just
Well, that's my problem too. Is my main team is so pretty much well balanced.
Yeah.
I mean, I have every color, and I only have one color duplicated, and so it's a lot of the perks are kind of don't do me much good because of my team is so balanced.
See, I almost think the way the perks
Because
are
it seems
designed is
to help lift up certain characters and help.
I don't think you need to get away from a
colors.
balanced team. I think
Yeah.
you need
That's
to
what happened to me.
go
is
down to like
I got away
3
from a
colors.
balanced team and then realized, oh, the perks are actually benefiting me.
Well, there
Yeah.
are some achievements now for that.
Yes.
Did you see that?
I
You
did
see
see
all
that.
the achievements, like completed level with all blue characters, stuff like that.
Oh, I didn't get into those.
Yeah.
I've kind of come down on my personal recommendation for playing is I think you need to have at least 3 colors, because I've done a couple of teams that are 2, and relying on just those 2 colors, even with a perk or somebody who changes a gem to another color, it just gets a little wonky. But at least with 3, you still got that one person who may be still able to throw some damage, even if you're not. I love the perk system. I love the layout. I love being able to categorize and organize and all of the behind-the-scenes fixes that they kind of did for sorting your players. I love the fact that it carries over into the team section.
Yeah.
It's not just the TARDIS layout. That
Right.
once you organize it in TARDIS and go into team, it's the same way. It's
Right.
like, oh, thank you for that.
Yes, yes.
But I've just been kind of replaying 6 levels in order to continue to unlock some characters and get just a little more experience and build these guys up, because I heard that 5 was tough. Well, I think they went back and revamped some of 6 too, because I'm playing levels that I've already beaten and I am struggling.
Really?
And I've got a team that's pretty solid.
Oh, wow.
Now, it's not my tank team, but these guys are solid and they're struggling. And it's taken me a lot longer to fight through some of these levels. So, even with perks.
Well, I'm 16 levels into series.
I knew you'd
I'm
be
ready.
the furthest along.
I'm ready for level 2.
Really?
I had so much
let
trouble
me
with that
look
first
here.
level.
Oh,
So much trouble.
dang. Then I can't talk to you guys about level number 3.
I saw that.
That's the one that I've
3
had the
was
most
really
problem
hard.
with. In fact, I spent
Did
the
they fix
longest
that yet?
time on it. No, that's one of the things is... I'm just going to spoil this for you right now.
Spoil it.
It's 1 Toclafane. That's it. That's all you have to defeat in 90 seconds.
Oh,
And it's insanely hard. And I had my best team go up against it. It kept going. Went and rearranged my perks. Went back in. Kept fighting. Just couldn't beat this thing. I'd get it down to just almost dead every time. And then
which one's the Troclophane? Oh, the circle with the
yeah,
ball.
yeah.
Okay.
The master.
And so then I went back and I reassembled some of my other maxed out characters and rebalanced my team. And that's when it occurred to me how the perks were really going to benefit if I unbalanced my team a little bit more than I have.
Yeah.
And went back in there and played it twice and beat it. And I was like, okay, this is what the perks are for right here. However, Legacy has addressed the concerns. There are a lot of people that are having problems with that, and they think maybe it's a little unbalanced. So they did say that they were going to go in and maybe tweak it a little bit so it wasn't as hard. The other problem with it
Well,
is...
then, see, you should get a bonus achievement for playing it before it was tweaked.
I won't let you. Yeah, no
Well,
I won't let
there's
you
some-
read this, but watch the. I got the War Doctor by the way now.
Very nice.
And I won't let you read this, but I want to show you. This is every time that you know, granted, I played this probably 50, 60 times before I beat it. Mm-hmm. You have to go through this many cutscenes.
They still haven't fixed that.
And that is one of the things they addressed in the update this week. And it's not done yet, but they said that they are they understand that was one of the concerns. They're working on a way to skip through or at least shorten those cutscenes on some of those. This is literally, you have to do this many
That's
times.
a long cutscene.
To
Yeah.
get, and it's a good, important cutscene. This is literally how many times you have to tap through
Wow.
this cutscene in order to. And it's a lot of important dialogue here, but it shouldn't be on the one that I'm going to have to play 50 to 60 times before I finally beat it. That's how
Without
it's
an
up.
option to,
Yes.
yeah. If you're going to make us
So-
do that, give us the option to just say skip.
Yeah,
please.
which they're going to do. They've addressed that. They've said that they've said that they want to do that. There are still a couple of iOS issues. There was a sound issue which I had a problem with early on, but I haven't had a problem since. And where there's just no sound, you load it once and you've got sound, and you load it another time, there's nothing there.
Huh.
They had shading issues with some of the balls. With Rachel pointed out on one of her Facebook
Oh, yeah, I
posts
saw
that
that.
she had that problem. I think I had it one time.
I haven't
Beyond that,
had
I haven't.
anything.
I haven't really played them.
But they're addressing that, and so they've really been on top of it. They released this and they said, okay, we recognize a lot of things you guys are saying. These are what we're working on, and they had a little list on their Facebook page. So kudos to them for getting on that, listening to their customers, because I'm loving it. It is insanely difficult. I understand why the perks were introduced, because they wanted to make this more of a challenge. I think number 3 is unbalanced a bit, but beyond that, everything else
Maybe just
is
extend
just
the time, it would
appropriate.
make it a little easier.
What I'm hoping is I'll be able to max out my characters again, because I still don't seem to be able to get past that top level that I've maxed everybody out with. And I mean, that's
the ones
that's,
that you're playing with.
Yeah,
or,
the part of the reason that the perks are there is to give you some boosts beyond that, because you're done leveling your characters up. But I'm really hoping they'll kind of open that up and give me a little bit more.
Well, they did open
grace
the what I think of as the backpack or the storage area, because now you can store up to 40 or 60
40 crystals
of each
not
time
crystals,
fragment.
fragment,
Yeah.
time fragments. Yeah, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
In fact, when that happened, I didn't realize it. And I kept dropping stuff, but I had been maxed out for so long that I was like, all right, well, whatever. And then when I went in to max up some of my other teams that I didn't realize that I completely leveled them up and maxed them out because I had so many time fragments then that I could upgrade right after that.
I also noticed that there were the characters that I had maybe unlocked but hadn't played any with. The update gave them an automatic 9 levels,
Yeah.
or 9. You know, that
They're
you
11
boom, boom, boom,
now.
and
They're
you
all
all automatically up to 11.
Well, as previously they dropped as
You
11.
get 9 points,
But
but
you
they
didn't-
started at 11.
Yeah.
Level 11, yeah.
We got 11 before, but we didn't get the points to
Right.
boost
Now
them.
we have all the points to add
Yeah.
to the... Yeah, you're
So
right.
that was cool too.
And I like how they also now include unknown if you haven't unlocked them yet, so you kind of have an idea of who you're missing or how many people you're missing.
Well, that includes all of season 5 though too.
Yeah.
season 5.
Well, that was
And
my first look.
and the
Was
doctor.
wow, that's a lot of. But yeah,
Yeah, that's all of season. I have everybody up to season 5.
You do have everybody up to
Yeah.
season
See, I
five.
still
Okay.
don't.
So,
There's still people
so mine
I'm
probably
missing.
looks like that.
Oh, I still
just
have
haven't
somebody
scrolled
level
down there.
1. What?
Yeah, there's like 3 of mine that are level 1.
Oh,
Well, 2 of which are my fan area ones.
and
they
the
did
fact
bump them.
that they've got the difference now between the little arrow meaning you've got a skill point you can use, or this person's ready to upgrade. Did you notice that?
Oh, I never had a problem with that.
Oh my god, that's so much clearer.
Yeah.
Because so often I would look, oh, this person's right. Oh no, I don't want to upgrade them yet because
Yeah.
I'm saving my point for this guy.
Right.
You know, I gotta get 3 more time fragments so I can upgrade this person versus this character. So
Before we finish here, I've got to talk about the expert levels. Have you even looked at them?
Where are
I
those
opened
at?
it and it said, ha 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 ha, you're not ready for this, and so I backed away.
It does.
I
It
didn't
said, they said, in fact, they said on the thing is don't expect to take your most powerful team in there and beat the expert levels right away. And they all have character drops, and they're guaranteed, I think. And I tried the first expert level going, I could probably do this one because I could do the expert levels on the early expert levels on the
So these are
Advent
different
pen. These are completely different
characters.
levels. Yeah, different characters. Although I think the first one is the first Doctor. I can't imagine you're going to have to beat the expert level in order to get the first Doctor.
Oh,
I
yeah,
have a
I'm sure
feeling
The
you'll
last
he'll
one is
drink some.
Clara. I have Clara already.
Well, I wonder if it's different.
They must have different. I'm
different
assuming
outfit,
all of them
maybe.
are different abilities.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping. Yeah.
Speaking of, did
Which is the
everybody?
first one? Is it
Clara,
the top
Amy.
one or
I have
the
this
bottom?
exact same Amy.
Which is you said the first one's the first Doctor.
First one's the first Doctor. Yeah, the first level, the lowest level, the one that it should be the easiest one.
Oh
usually at the
yeah, you
bottom.
do start
Yeah.
at the bottom. That's right.
Is
see
the
how I
first
do here.
Doctor. The second one
See how bad I
is.
get killed.
See, and I have the ninth Doctor already. Although I got that with a code.
Yeah,
The third one then
Oh, you
is
got
River,
your
which I have
eighth
this
Doctor
River.
costume?
So
I did get my 8th Doctor. Did you guys get your 8th Doctor costume?
I did. Yes.
Yay!
So I jumped in there to play that first Doctor one, and I did miserably. And I consider myself an expert, but no.
One other item of note. I felt bad that I didn't discuss this when
Yeah, that's blind. I hate blind.
I felt bad that I
Blind
didn't
is
discuss
terrible.
this with
but if you
Mr.
grab
Lee.
one and drag it around, you can uncover everything. Yeah.
How much we liked the music. I felt bad that I didn't bring that up when I interviewed him at Galley. The additional pieces of music, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
There's not much, though. I wanted a lot more.
Well, again,
wanted
not
a
that
lot
I
more.
minded, because we only had 2 pieces of music before, and I found that I did it it's repetitive, but I didn't mind.
Yeah,
it was
no, I didn't mind.
enjoyable to
They were
listen
good.
to, you know? And the new stuff, it almost is more melodic. It seems like it's got a little bit wider of a range to it than what we had before.
I think you're
but it's
right.
just as pretty. I love the fact that it's still in that vein. It still sounds like the other stuff, but yet it also still all sounds like Doctor Who, which I appreciate too.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed. It's very, very in line with the mood and the tempos and melodies. Oh, by the way, I'm going to tell you right now, you only got 22 attacks before that middle guy wipes you out.
The middle guy?
The middle guy. See, he's got 22. He hasn't attacked you yet.
Oh, I see.
Wait till he hits you.
I see
You're gone.
I see
You're
17.
dead.
Oops, down to 16. Oh,
Yeah.
I just got poisoned.
Oh, yeah. 998 or 999. Yeah. Which I just realized now that I brought the wrong team in. I don't have anybody.
I don't
heal
have a
poison.
healer.
I do on my main team, but I brought the wrong team.
That's what I meant on this team.
Yeah.
Oh, I have healers. I just don't have a
No, I don't have a
cure
poison. Yeah.
Eighth Doctor.
Yeah, he's my go-to. He's my main team guy because of that ability. Although I've been playing a lot of Season 5 without him because I haven't run across a lot of poison. The Ninth Doctor, or no, the War Doctor, the Ninth Doctor. The War Doctor has been wonderful.
Oh, he's the 9th.
What's his ability?
His first one is 30% health, or 30% of their health damage. He damages 30% of their health. Their
Oh,
entire
okay.
health.
Okay.
The
So
second
kind of
one,
like similar to 11's.
yeah, his second one is stunned for 4 turns, which is fantastic on some of those really beefed out guys that are going to, especially when you get like 3 or 4 of them.
That's why I always have K9 on my team.
Oh my gosh. And he's really nice to hit them with 4, and then you can just really pound them down before they do that next super attack.
Is it stun all or just one?
Stuns every one of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a nice...
Oh, and I forgot that's timed too. Because I'm sitting here, John. And I shouldn't be playing anyway. We're all right. So Legacy, thumbs up.
Kudos
You guys
to
are doing
Legacy.
A great job. Doing a great job. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
All right, well, shall we move on to feedback?
We should.
First up, it's Brenda. She says, it's audio feedback from me this week, guys. Hope you enjoy.
Hello from Atlanta to the Vortex gang. This is Brenda, the old lady from Atlanta, and I had something I wanted to send to you, but I wanted to issue this disclaimer. I have sung 9 church services and God knows how many rehearsals in the past week. My voice is toast, so I have kind of a Brenda Vaccaro sound to it, so please forgive, but this is my gift to you guys for bringing me so much fun over the years. Happy Easter to all of you and to all of the listeners, and hope you enjoy it. When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can travel to the Vortex. There you find friends who are so much like you. When you can travel to the Vortex, just listen to our trio share their week. What did they do? Lights and cutters, games and books, and even Doctor Who. How can you lose? The news is much brighter there. You can forget all your troubles, forget all your cares, and send feedback. Things will be great with your feedback. Join in the fun and send feedback. Everyone's welcoming you. Vortex. Don't hang around and think you're different or odd, because we're all like you in the Vortex. Insights you share and facts, no matter how small, about your favorite place. The Vortex. Just listen to a diatribe on software or bagpipes. You'll be smiling with us too as they air all their gripes. Happy again. You'll learn so much trivia there. You can forget all your troubles, forget all your cares, and send feedback. Things will be great with your feedback. Join in the fun and send feedback. Everyone's welcoming you. Vortex, Vortex, Vortex. 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 here you find somebody kind to help and understand you. Someone who is just like you, loves Doctor Who, and wants to listen along. So maybe I'll see you there. We can forget all our troubles, forget all our cares, and send feedback. Things will be great with your feedback. Join in the fun and send feedback. Everyone's welcoming you. Vortex, yard work, disc golf, James Bond, movies, Lego.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brenda.
That was very, very good.
Brenda, that was awesome.
I think that is some of the best feedback we've ever gotten.
That is the best feedback.
Absolutely.
Song we've ever had on the.
Yes.
Sorry, Sean.
Hey.
Brenda,
We
your
have a new
voice
feedback
was
song.
beautiful.
Yay! Yes, it was very, very nice. We're blessed with her talents.
We are very blessed
Thank you
with her
very much for
talents.
that. That was very nice. And happy Easter to you too.
Yes.
A bit delayed. Would have been a lot better if we recorded this on Sunday, but when it was actually still Easter. But
A bit.
all right,
Also in feedback, Chrissy sent us some, but that's going to go out as a side trip. It was her Fan X report. Sorry we didn't get out sooner, Chrissy, but
yeah, that was my fault.
we didn't realize it was as long as it was.
That was my fault. I got it Saturday night, and I was going to send it out as a side trip, and I didn't realize it was 17 minutes because then I thought, well, we're just going to record on Sunday, so I add that to Sunday's show. So then when we got here tonight, realized that it's 17 minutes. We thought, this would be better as a standalone. So that will be out on the feeds as a side trip. It may actually hit the feeds before this one does. So just keep an eye out for it.
Also in feedback, Michelle wrote on our Facebook wall saying, "Hey everybody, just posting to ask you to check out my GoFundMe page." She gave us a link. And possibly donate so I can afford to go to college next year. If I can't, I may have to back out of going to Galley also.
She's blackmailing you, Sean.
Yes. Who doesn't blackmail me, really? I mean, come on.
So Sean will be your first donor, so that you can make sure you go there. Since Keith and I have now fallen out again, so
So go to our Facebook page to find her link if you want to go donate.
although I might know somebody can take you to Galley, take it off your hands.
That might not be the idea you're looking for,
No.
but and then finally is Holly. She writes, first 5 episodes of Torchwood Miracle Day. Hey guys, I'm going to wait to write up my thoughts about the Web of Lies motion comic. I wasn't quite sure where the true breaks were when I watched the motion comic on my DVD set. And
Funny story, Holly.
and my apologies to whoever reads this. It may get a little long. Go on your story, Sean.
Well, we were just discussing that pre-show that as we were not really sure where the breaks were meant to be either. And so we've decided we're going to hold off on reviewing the motion comic until next week when we'll tackle it all at the
do the
same
whole
time.
thing.
And, I didn't realize it was as short as it was, but I had trouble finding the breaks myself.
Yeah.
So
It's not clear unless
watched,
you downloaded the individual motion comics when they were released.
yeah,
Right.
I've watched
That
a
would've been
little
easier.
over halfway and kind of thought, oh, I think I'm good, but I'm not really sure. So we're just gonna do that. So
And I got to a little bit of halfway. I was like, oh, well, I'll just finish it.
so you're good.
Okay, she goes on with her reviews. New Day. An interesting start to the series. Having them cast Bill Pullman as Oswald Danes was quite the move, and he can play a baddie quite well. Love the scenes with Gwen and Reese and hiding with Anwen. Talk about being loaded for bear and secret agents. Don't blame Reese in the least. Reese in the least
I didn't catch that when I read it. But
for being protective of Gwen and Anwen when it comes to Torchwood. After all they've been through, and let's face it, Reese became a de facto member of Team Torchwood before he and Gwen got married. Mekhi Phifer as Rex, it was a good casting choice, but I sometimes think the writing of his character kind of reverted back to his days as Gregory Pratt on ER. Pratt's character was a bit of a jerk and not too afraid to speak his mind. Maybe that's why they cast
maybe that's why they
Mekhi
cast
as that
him.
role, is because they kind of had that kind of character in mind. He was also in remake of Dawn of the Dead and plays a very similar character too.
Oh, great. So my opinion of him isn't going up anymore.
So that might just be him as an actor. Let's see. Gwen being Mama Bear and the gang running back into Jack, and the whole thing with the rocket launcher on the beach was cool. Didn't really like the fact that Gwen and Reese got separated at the end of the episode, but looking back, it was for the best.
At that point where they get separated, he's good, and Rex says he's not part of Torchwood. He doesn't need to go. And I'm yelling and screaming, "Yes, he is! He's an honorary member. Take him with you."
He makes Gwen playable.
Well, let's be honest. He was more of a member of Torchwood than
some of the
other members. Susie.
We don't know what she did before the show. In the time before the show. Well, I know, but I mean, she was clearly a team member up until that point.
Obviously not a very good one because she turned on
screen,
him.
Reese was more of a member than Susie was.
And he hasn't turned on him.
That's true.
Rendition. A good episode, but I have to say I do like Vera and the scenes on the plane where Rex was starting to put together that he can't even trust the people that he works with. I was cheering so loud when Glenn punched out Agent Peterfield. Wayne Knight playing Friedkin was a good choice and brings back memories of Nedry from Jurassic Park.
Dotson. We've got Dotson here.
Funny. See, nobody cares.
Funny story. When this episode first aired, I was watching with a friend who really wasn't into Torchwood, but watched this one with me anyway. When Fredkin appeared, she yelled, "It's Nedry! They shouldn't trust him." I had to say that from this episode, she's right. To quote X-Files, trust no one. Dead of Night. Something's up with Vicor. I'm really liking the bonding that's going on between Esther and Gwen. Vera's starting to prove useful in helping Torchwood team out without really knowing it. Glad to see the reappearance of the alien tech contact lenses. And all in all, not too bad of an episode. Things starting to ramp up just a bit. Escape from LA. I feel sorry for Esther in this episode because she had to call protective services on her sister to make sure that her nieces were okay. Great, now we've got Oswald investigating Corb as well. This can't be good. Side note, around this time when I first aired, got busy and was hit and miss for the rest of the episodes. So from season 5 on, it might be my first time seeing them.
Oh.
Ellis Hartley Monroe, glad she didn't stay around long. If she had, there would have been too many bad guys to suit my tastes. We meet Rex's dad, and there's no lost love between the two of them. Love the nod to the Doctor in this episode, with Jack using the Doctor's alias of John Smith when he meets Frumpkin. Jack and Gwen sure pull off a good con as a married couple. Reese is still being Reese and trying to do his best, being so far away and helping Gwen out with her father. The categories of life. Vera wants in now with what the government has passed with the categories of life and the camps for those of the other two categories. The race is on to save Gwen's dad. Loved how Gwen's mom also went into the investigation mode to make sure that Gwen knew where her father was to get him back. Glad to see Vera taking names at the hospital camps and the conditions that are going on there. Really stinks that Vera got shot and that Colin's covering up what he did. Jillian Oswald are still
I forgot she got shot. Sorry.
Jeez, Glenn, were you watching?
Well, the end of that is just like, oh my gosh, but I forgot. He shot her first.
Twice.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, keep going. I mean, I knew that. I just, until she said it, I was, oh yeah, that's right.
The Indian takes away from the being shot part. Jillian and Oswald are up to their tricks. Good on Esther for knowing that something's not right with Colin returning and no Vera. Really hate Colin now. Rex is going to be a man on a mission when he finds out the truth. I'll wrap it up here. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on these episodes. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
And that's
now,
it for feedback.
It's time for our review of half of Torchwood Miracle Day. The worst half.
Should I read? What?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah.
The first half is the better half.
No. Well, yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Now remember, you can't judge the first
I know.
half based off of what you know from the second half.
I was so stupid to go on. But when half
Which is
this
why
week,
I didn't.
When half this week went by and I realized, I've got to have the second half done by next Sunday, I started on the second half and just blew through it.
Well, we're not going to do episode synopses because they aren't short.
Thankfully.
I could read half of the back of the DVD case.
Go exactly halfway and stop.
Let's
just
launch into it.
New World.
New
What do we
Day.
thought? This says New World.
Oh, was New World the first one? I thought it was New Day.
According to
Probably.
Indiegogo, it's
Oh no,
New
you're
World.
right. It is New World because that was actually the original title of the whole thing. It was going to be Torchwood New World.
Well,
and
that's
since
too bad.
it was going to the
With
U.S.,
Miracle
I
Day.
thought, oh wow, that's really cool. And then they changed it to Miracle Day. I went, what the hell is Miracle Day? That sucks. That's a terrible
a better title.
But knowing
It
what's
makes
going on,
sense
yeah, it makes
in the
more
title
sense.
more. The one thing I took away from this episode, of course, I guess we should preface some of this with, if you remember way back in the day when this originally aired, July 2011, I was watching these as they aired.
Mm-hmm.
So,
so was I.
On Stars.
and I had not seen any other Torchwood yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
It was before we kind of figured out what we were doing Torchwood-wise on the show.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, we warned you.
So
we
this
told
is-
you
yeah,
not to.
And I did anyways. And it didn't ruin anything for me for any of previous Torchwood.
Nor did it ruin any Who for you.
Nor ruin it for me.
Well, you knew Ianto was dead.
Well, I knew Ianto wasn't around. I could assume he was dead.
Why is
But
my
I didn't know
script 20
how he
pages
was
shorter
gonna-
than everybody else?
I didn't know how he was going to die or anything. So
Okay, all right.
So this was probably really nice for you to be able to kind of come back at it and go,
coming
hey, I
into-
get that.
Coming into this episode specifically, all of the 4, 5, 6 references of them trying to uncover Torchwood makes so much more sense now.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. That's awesome. That was my biggest takeaway from the first episode, other than Bill Pullman is phenomenal in this role. I mean, he's hateable, and you should hate him. And to hate Bill Pullman,
Yeah.
that's an achievement.
That-
Pullman's one of the best things of this entire series. He really
if
is.
they can make you hate him, that's...
Because he's a lovable character
everyone
always.
loves
Till
Bill
this,
Pullman.
yeah.
There were so many moments where he did this thing where, I mean, I loved the little quiet moments, like where he's in the hotel and he's opening bottles and listening to it, because even in solitary confinement, it's not something you've heard,
Right.
And he's just enjoying the novelty of things that. So it's kind of like, oh, that's kind of a nice little endearing moment. But then there were so many other things with the way it was shot and the way that he portrayed Oswald, where he's constantly kind of just staring off. He never looked directly at anybody, very rarely. He was always kind of off to one side, and he had the very shifty eyes, and they always filmed him from this almost too close to the camera.
Yeah. You know what I got from that?
You know?
Was that he was always looking for his words. Because he would always do this
Yeah.
little weird
Yeah.
pauses in the middle of a sentence. He would always break his sentence up in such a way. And every time he took a break, he'd shift his eyes, and it was almost like he was looking for the words. I mean, it was like he was trying to visualize the words to use, and I loved that about the character.
It's also a very one of the things we covered in Murder Media Mayhem is we had an FBI agent who came in and talked to the class, and they discussed ways to tell if people are lying.
If they're looking to the left,
And
they're
if,
lying.
you
If they're
know,
looking to the right, they're looking for
That's
facts.
very much one of them is the way that he shifts around, and so half the stuff he said wasn't true anyway, but it didn't matter. Just he was so good in his portrayal of this reprehensible character.
the entire time. And then even when he gets the media sensation, you still see those behind-the-scenes moments where he's still so reprehensible.
Yeah.
Well, like the one where, when they set it up with that great intro, and the news reporter gives us the, when confronted, he said, well, she should have run faster. And it's like, wow, okay, I don't like you. Just thanks for filling me in on this. But then you kind of get to that point where maybe you kind of like him, even though you don't want to, because everybody else likes him. And so you're looking at these people going, you're stupid. Why do you like that guy? But you kind of fall in on the bandwagon a little bit.
A little bit.
And then Jack has that conversation with him, and he lays into it going,
and even Jilly, in that whole, I will work with you, but I do not like you, I do not respect you, I do not trust you.
I can't look at your hands.
Yeah,
Right.
that whole thing.
But when he's explaining to Jack what he did and how he enjoyed it, just a bravo for
Agreed. I'll tell you what,
going there.
I'll tell you what lends to some of this too is, and I noticed that the most. This is the first half, when he's doing the. I don't think we're going to do these episodes the way we're doing this, but that's okay. The one where just before Jack talks to him and he's about to go out on stage and he tells him to do the right thing and expose Ficor and whatever. And he goes out on the stage, and she has prompted him, said, "This is what you're going to say," and he's like,
"This is the key word,
whatever," and you have to hit the key word. I'll tell you that whole speech,
and
the music helps you buy into it because it's this very uplifting, very almost spiritual, and you get sucked in and you really buy into it. And I actually found myself getting chills knowing that this guy was just who he was, but you're still getting this.
World.
And then the music, the music turns very diabolical when he starts going into the really dark part of that speech. And I'm like, oh wow, this is just the atmosphere of this is just incredible. And then there's that crescendo again at the end when he does that, and then says, "It's my revelation." And the crowd goes crazy, and I had that moment of, what am I doing? This guy's a monster.
Right at the moment that you're fist pumping, the Ficor logo shows up. It's like, oh wait,
and because I shouldn't be feeling that way because I know more about this guy based on the things that he said than the people that he's preaching to, even though they know he's a killer. I know a lot more about him because I'm getting insights to the man's brain, and I shouldn't. But then when they get to that point, he so ropes you in and convinces you that I think you're right. You got a point.
There were several.
What am I doing?
Several music cues that I noticed this time that I just kind of washed over me the first time, where it plays out this way in one scene, and then later the same two characters have a conversation, and it almost sounds like the music's being played backwards, but it still works because it hits notes differently. And I went, wow, that's a really interesting. And I wish now I should have written it down so that I could have a direct comparison for you. But there are several of those throughout the story where it's a direct parallel musically, but just on its ear just enough to change the tone of that conversation.
Well,
which is cool.
I noticed that type of thing every time there was a bit of a confrontation and someone was about to be made Category 1, which I'm jumping ahead because the categories were kind of near the end there of the several parts, but. Just when you knew something bad was going to happen, that music would just put you off tilt, and I thought that was very impressive.
This is, for me, I think Miracle Day is an example of really good science fiction, really well thought out.
It's such, especially the first 5 episodes, there's such good intrigue, and so much. It moves so quickly, and we're on to the next thing, and it takes us to another place, and I just am engrossed the entire time.
I disagree there.
I feel like we drag out a lot of.
See, I don't think we're.
I think there's a lot of misdirection.
We're getting to the pad yet.
I think there's a lot of misdirection and a lot of loose ends.
It's a lot of running through corridors.
Yeah, even up to halfway point. There's a lot of things that feel like they get dropped. I think it gets worse in the next half, but there's a lot of things that get completely dropped. I think the dad scene, Rex's dad scene, I think it's meant to give us some insight into the character and to build on the character, but it almost feels unnecessary beyond that. The sister, I feel the same way with Esther's sister.
I like Esther as a character, but that entire situation just frustrated the heck out of me.
I agree. They seem to try to
she
sort of
know that calling social services would take the children away.
Yeah.
What?
Well, she seems pretty.
She's smarter than that.
What the guy say? How blonde are you?
Yeah.
Or am I jumping ahead now? But
well, and for the sake of not jumping ahead, I think they later try to reestablish some part of that, but it's way too thin at that point.
Well, and it lended a a moment of necessity because of that.
That's how
they were able to.
tracks
Yeah,
him.
so it became almost a plot device.
And
It
I
was
totally
a plot
forgot
device,
he was
and that's
in the show.
unfortunately
Yeah.
all that it was. Yeah.
There was a lot of
Who's gonna be a
stunt
Krypton?
casting.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stunt
That's
casting.
what
in
Wayne
this.
Knight was.
Wayne
Stunt-
Knight was stunt casting. I think even to a point, Ernie Hudson, although I thought he was one of the stronger roles in this, was a bit of a stunt casting as well.
I think we're jumping ahead.
I think you're
into
jumping
six.
ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm
But-
sorry.
But yeah,
Well, since we're on the
Oh,
subject,
you're right. That is the
I
first.
love Ernie
that is
Hudson,
the first episode.
and the more I watch Ernie Hudson, the more I'm convinced that he is a genius actor who should be in more stuff because he's really good.
He's really good.
He's always been good.
He's
I've
really
always
good.
liked Ernie
but
Hudson,
unfortunately,
but
I felt that character was only necessary for exposition.
Yeah.
That was it.
that really
well,
was.
same thing. Jumping ahead
To me, feels
for
like a waste.
for Nan Visitor or whatever you say. her
Yeah,
name
Nana.
is.
Visitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
Okay, we'll
stuff.
back.
casting
We'll
it.
back.
But we're
Going
back.
back.
Yeah, we are getting
So we have this fantastic science fiction premise. What happens if nobody dies?
And then it's so well realized. Also, I think
It's not
And-
just the idea of what if nobody dies. It's like, well, okay, let's talk about that. What if
Yeah,
nobody
nobody
died?
dies.
Well, this would happen. Okay.
The realistic
but then
approach
what?
of that.
And this, and then what? And this. And the fact that they broke it down and hit me over the head with stuff that I wouldn't have thought of.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would be,
There's a person that's been ripped apart but still alive.
and the way that
Boy,
this
that's a
particular
disturbing scene.
Oh
too.
yeah.
Have you tried severing the head?
That is one instance of in this first half of why I like this part so
Everybody's
much.
Everybody's appalled except for the mortician.
Except
Or
for
not
the mortician.
the morgue guy.
And Jack.
Yeah, well, of course, Jack's the one that was suggested.
Yeah,
so you
but-
don't think anything about it when he suggests
Well, but
it.
he didn't
But
seem...
then everybody else
when-
is
when
like,
they-
"Are you kidding? No,
when-
you can't do that." And the guy goes, "Yeah, I don't know. We haven't tried that yet."
This would be really cool. There are several bad deaths, and not that you can say that. That's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, and I was thinking about this. I don't remember the character's name, but the dead is dead chick that they
the one
decided they didn't need her
in the,
anymore,
yeah.
and put her in the car compactor. And
That could have been a plot point.
I-
But it helps build Oswald's character more.
Well,
Yeah.
it helps build Oswald's character, and it kind of helps build the menace of whoever's behind this. Because I told Mel, it's like, all right, well, we've got the ovens at this point in that story. We know that they could put her in one of these and dispose of her. But they don't. They put her in a car compactor, knowing she's going to survive it, knowing that her consciousness is still going to be around. And we get that great visual with the eye opening. And it's like, that's twisted for a mind to come up with that.
Agreed.
And know that that's going to happen. That really kind of elevates the villain of the piece, who we don't even know who it is yet.
Right.
That's there. But there's so much of the thought process that went into this that I so appreciated for the first 3 episodes. Unfortunately, I think it goes on too long. I
Yeah,
think
that's my problem
I think
with
when
it,
we
yeah.
get into
Well, yeah, I could see the whole. We have to install a fake server. That could have been dropped.
see, that's just it. The first 3 episodes I think are really good and very, very strongly written. Then we get to Escape to L.A., and it's the whole server thing. So we're going Mission Impossible. And it's like, okay, we've got a mission now, which
really,
is great.
for the most part, is the first time it, to me, felt more like Torchwood.
I agree. It's the first. Well, it's the first time.
Ironically.
It's the first time they're doing. It's the first time they're acting instead of reacting.
Yeah,
to what's
exactly.
going on.
Agreed.
So it's like, okay, we're actually
Well-
we're going.
Considering the whole second episode is on the plane.
I'm sorry. The second episode's among my favorite.
It's a phenomenal.
ever.
I'm sorry, that's
agree.
my second least favorite.
I disagree. It's a phenomenal.
Oh,
episode.
it's so
because
good.
number one, it's so
It's good for drama.
unbelievable. There is absolutely no way that you could make an antidotal cocktail to a poison on a plane in that short of time and drag it out for an entire episode.
But that was so good.
No, it
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
good.
just-
It was totally implausible. It was unbelievable. And both times that I've watched this episode now, I've sat there going, just get it over with.
I like the drama. Of it.
I like the drama. I like the tension. I love Jack when he's playing the thing. He starts screaming, "You are not giving me formaldehyde."
There are moments that are good. I'll give you that. But overall, no. It was a waste of an episode.
That is my favorite episode of the
spending an entire time on a plane
No.
flying back trying to save Jack. The only thing that it needed to do was drive home the fact that the only thing that episode does is makes it really, really relevant to the fact, or nail home the fact that he's mortal, and this is the first time
that's
in
not
any
the
of
only
Torchwood.
thing it does.
This is the only time in Torchwood. No, it's not. But that's the main driving point. The only time in Torchwood that I actually have ever gone, oh my gosh, Jack could actually die here.
That's why
Never
I like the
before
episode.
have I have done that.
That's what's great about it.
But it did not need a full hour of coming up with this stupid idea of... I do like the fact that Rex called and asked a bunch of medical professionals what they could do.
Today's challenge is this. Don't stare at me, go. Okay, let's Google this.
Google. I don't know. Well, I suppose you could introduce a what do you say, a negative alkali to attack the
blah, 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 insert tech here. Okay. It's medical jargon instead of science jargon.
Battle, it's meta battle.
Medical babble.
Meta babble.
I agree with you that for purposes of what they needed it for, yes, the scene runs too long. I didn't care. It's one of those that I'm enjoying the character interaction so much.
Because we really don't touch on the fact that he's mortal again until like near the end.
I don't think
there's no major big threat to Jack the rest of the time.
I think there, and when the confrontation in the server room, there you get a little bit of that impending. Oh gosh! But towards the end of that, you realize that he's not going to kill Jack because he realizes that the families want Jack.
Yeah.
So it comes out of that, but there's that whole scene, especially when he's coming, that you're thinking.
I was more concerned about Gwen than Jack. But that just goes back to default of Jack can't die.
Yeah. It's really not until the 7th episode that we get a concern for Jack again.
I'm used to Gwen being in peril. I'm not used to Jack being hanging by a string.
And that's why that's so effective.
Yeah.
That's why that scene and that episode works so well.
I think that's why 2 is so important, is it wouldn't sell that point.
I'm not underselling the importance of the point. It's just we've got, and it's also way too big. It needed to be a 15-minute piece of an entire hour, not spend as much time on that.
Maybe it's just because I enjoy the characters so much and the interaction, and that when Gwen gets bossy, I find her annoying. I think she's much more effective when she's quieter.
Yeah.
When she,
and like Holly
when she's upset
out,
with somebody or sad with somebody,
As Holly pointed out, the nice moments she had with Esther. Those are good.
Those are good character building moments. But when Gwen goes into Cardiff mode, and you're Welsh. It just seems like it's a.
See, but I'm going to defend her there because she has done, seen, and been through more than any other Torchwood team member, with the exception of Jack, who's a whole different cut.
Yeah.
But I almost forgive it because every time she started barking, I kept thinking, "Oh gosh, now you're going to do this." And then at the back of my mind, it would come to the front going, she deserves to be that way because she's been made that way based on her experiences. So I'm actually all right with that.
But what the difference is, in that second episode, all the barking works. Because Jack can't do it.
I agree. She's
it's
very
the
strong
barking in
there.
episode 4 about getting her dad out and then being wrong about trying to get her dad out is what I have a problem with Gwen with.
That's kind of...
Granted, I know she doesn't know.
But that's just it. That's such a lovely moment in storytelling because she pushes so hard
and you
that
feel
there's a consequence.
So great for Reese for doing it, and it's like,
feel bad for her too.
Crap.
Yeah. But so the first 3 episodes I think are really, really good. The 4th one, we get the Mission Impossible episode, and we're going to do the same with the server. Now, this is where you have problems with the cocktail. I have problems with this plan. At least,
well, I had problems with the plan too.
the plan worked up until the point where we have what is essentially a dead body in the server room. Now, assuming they torch the room, which I kind of thought they were going to do anyways, actually light a fire. Because, I'm sorry, if the one super secret server was the one that had the fire damage and nothing else in the room did, I'd be suspicious.
Well, yeah,
as a
I got that impression also.
So I kind of assumed they're going to torch the room.
I thought that it would burn up. I mean, I think the idea was that it burnt up internally. That's why they just kind of torched each one of the drives.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They did.
It's like it overheated, a little fire melted some stuff, and then it went
okay, but if that's the case...
But that's not enough to call the fire department.
Well, I think that's...
Any whiff of smoke would be enough to...
Well,
the building would have done that automatically.
I
Here's,
don't know. I
Depending
think
on how
that's
much
the,
smoke
I
there
think
would have
that's the
been.
idea, though, that it's discovered later that it's not enough to set off the fire alarm.
well, here's the problem, though.
They have to
There's
set
a
off the
dead
fire
body in
alarm.
the room. Well, a live body, a not dead body, a category 1. There's a guy in the room.
Who's going to relay all the information and kind of blow the plan
Well,
anyway?
assuming he could speak, let's assume that he can't.
But she
That
did, she did say she shot him in the throat.
He's just a body. Okay, the room is blah, 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 biologic, medically, whatever that is, sealed. So we're automatically going to assume that it's the programmer. Oh, but that doesn't look like the programmer. You have to disfigure that body. They had to have either carted him off down the stairs or burned the room. That's the only two
And
options
why?
for that. Because there's a body. You got to cover your tracks. The whole point of the server being burned is to make it look like you don't have the server, that the secret information burned up. Okay, but now there's a body in the room, and it's not the one guy who has access to the room. That means somebody else got into the room, which means I don't believe that this server with all the super secret information on it burned up.
You're
I believe
absolutely
that they
right.
stole it.
But as soon as his character, I can't remember Sue Thomas Howell's
I can't-
character,
it's the assassin,
but as
the
soon
guy.
as the assassin shows up, that whole plan was already out the window.
Right.
So that's the point.
But
is
here's
you
the
don't
thing,
have
though.
to get rid of the body because the jig is already
Well,
up.
but here's the thing, though. Because they this is one of those dangling plots that just gets dropped for purposes of
That's
storytelling.
my biggest problem
That's
with
the
it,
problem.
yeah.
Is that okay? So now the plan's out the window. Well, you still have to clean up after that mess, but conveniently we don't talk about it.
yeah.
We just have all the information in the next episode when we need to do something with it and start tracking down this and doing that. And that's where I feel like the story kind of takes this left turn. Now, don't get me wrong. The whole thing with the camps and the discovery of these ovens is
Episode 5 is really strong, I think.
it's very important for certain people in their character development. I feel like it drags the overall tone of the story down. I feel like we spend way too much time in the camp. The fact that it's a two-parter because it goes back to six.
That's
but
the thing. 6 is where I think it drags out. 5, I think, is just fine. Because you're trying to investigate, you're trying to figure out what's going on in the camps. And it's 6 when they're trying to get out of the camps is when it's
yes,
kind of...
yes
Yes
and
and
no,
no.
because I agree.
They could have done all of that in one episode.
I was going to hold this till next week, but unfortunately I got to say it now. This did not need to be 10 episodes.
I agree. I agree with you there.
And I'll tackle that more next week. But
I agree,
a
too.
lot of the issues that we're bringing up with the first half of this would have been easily fixed had we had
Shortened
only
it.
5 episodes.
Or even down to 7.
7, I would think, because
I think 7 would be a good number.
I think in a way 5 is almost cheating yourself again with this great world building you're doing with this sci-fi premise because
Well,
I
and
so
especially
enjoy that
since you're
much.
introducing
I would agree with
so
that
many,
if there wasn't so many
Well, and you're
things
introducing
that were left.
But
so many new
that's just
characters.
it, yeah.
too.
I would agree with 7 if there wasn't so many left. But there's so many left hanging that I even back it down to
See,
5.
I think
I think they did such a wonderful job telling a very complex story in Children of Earth, which is above and beyond better. They set the bar way too high.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
They
There's
did
no
that
way you
so
can
well
follow
in
that.
5 episodes that I think they could have recaptured that magic by
Well,
making this one.
the
only
difference-
five.
I think the bigger problem is the fact that, well, Stars is involved, so
Well,
that-
I know
that
that,
changes-
I
that
know that
changes
the
things.
money is the
But-
aspect. Yeah,
including so many new characters.
That's the key.
That's why it needs to be more than 5.
didn't need
because
that many
well,
characters,
yeah,
though.
that's
That's my
if they
problem.
would have pared back the characters, that would have been fine. But they wanted to get the U.S. actors in there and the U.S. characters, so it reached both.
That's
and
just
so that's
it, though.
why they had to pad
the
it.
stunt casting was done, and that necessitated 10 episodes.
Well,
If
it's
you
not even
hadn't done
necessarily the stunt casting. It's
You
the
didn't-
inclusion
you
of
didn't
2
need
new
the-
team members, which you didn't have in Children of Earth. Children of Earth, you had the surviving members of Torchwood. It's Jack and Gwen
Well,
yeah.
and
and then you had
Yanto.
2
And
government workers that you were introduced to, and that's pretty much it.
but they were the bad guys, so
Well,
you needed to be
well,
introduced to
kind
those.
of the bad
So
guys.
you've got
Well,
that.
that's
Owen is
I'm
not around in Children of Earth.
Yeah,
No, he's not.
no, he's dead.
He died at the end.
or not
It's only-
Owen.
it's only for
Reese.
Reese.
Reese is
Yeah,
the one I
yeah,
meant.
yeah.
So you've got 5 episodes to tell this very tight, very contained story with characters we're already familiar with. So now we're branching out and we're telling a much bigger global event, and we are introducing new characters that are coming into the team, and they felt like they needed
also-
that real estate to take up
and-
more
and-
space
and-
for within that
they
They
story.
were
didn't
also
know.
trying
That's
to
coming from
introduce it to
watching.
new
That's
audiences.
coming from watching 10 stories. There's a lot of this that could have been cut down and still had been as big and important of a story.
I'm saying it could have been cut down. I'm not saying It didn't need 10. I'm saying 5 is a little too short.
I agree. I don't.
Especially if you're trying to get new viewers.
Even if you cut out 2.
Yeah.
Even if you cut out most of episode 2.
The politics and money of this, I'm leaving that entirely out because that's exactly why it's 10 episodes.
Yeah.
It is. There's no, they wanted. I'm sure Starz probably pushed for 13.
Starz wants another season.
Starz probably
They do?
Oh yeah,
They've
been pushing since-
RTD is the one that's been like
Dragging his feet?
I'm not ready yet.
Oh,
yeah. They've been
Well,
from
he
day
was working
one.
on
As
Wizards
soon as it
versus
ended,
Aliens.
they wanted another
Yeah.
one.
great. I
It
didn't
was-
know.
it was successful for
It's been
Starz.
gone, I mean, because since we came out, what, 2009?
11.
2011.
2011.
2011.
So,
Yeah,
has it
2011.
has only been that long? Okay.
It's only been that long.
Well, so that hasn't been that long then. But my thought was, God, we haven't heard or seen anything about this, so it must not have done well enough for Starz to want to pick it back up. But I'm glad to hear the Starz.
Yeah, no, they keep
it's the BBC, I think, and RTD.
Quite frankly,
RTD specifically, because Starz has said they will not move forward on another one without RTD, and RTD has said,
makes sense.
I don't know that I'm
and
ready
he-
or willing to come back.
Well, and he was
Because
saying
he was
that-
done with science fiction
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah. Because he's had a very small role in Wizards versus
I said that
Aliens.
very exciting. Like I'm quite finished with Torchwood. I'm done, and I'm ready that it's over. I'm glad that it's over. But
More Captain Jack.
I'll go more there next week. Well, no, that's the problem with Torchwood.
I know you
it's
do
not
that, Captain
the right
Jack.
Captain Jack, and that's he's shades of the right Captain Jack in the first 5 episodes. So I enjoy, to a point, Captain Jack in the first half of this. And then he's not in the second half of this, which, again, I'm going ahead of myself. But I did see shades of my Captain Jack in these first 5 episodes. So I'm very appreciative of that. I cannot stand Rex. I do not like the character.
I don't think you're.
I think the
I don't know if
I
you're
think the
entirely
actor.
supposed to.
I think the actor completely overacts the part. I never liked him on ER. The few times that I'd seen him on there, I think the actor is overrated, and I think that he is a little too edgy and over the top. And it's one thing if
He's almost like
It's one thing
a
if-
Britishman writing in America.
it's one thing to have. That's kind of how it comes across.
He's the gun-toting CIA cowboy. He
Russell,
really is.
Russell didn't write this. He just produced it.
No, he wrote it.
He wrote it.
He didn't write the whole thing, though. Okay, well, he must
He
not
at
have
least wrote the first episode.
He didn't write all of the episodes. He may have wrote the story arc.
I think he wrote the story arc
And
because
he
Jane
did
Eppenstein
produce it.
wrote a lot of the,
Yeah.
and quite honestly, Jane Eppenstein wrote my favorite episodes of this. Why she doesn't do more Doctor Who, I don't
She
know.
needs to.
But regardless of that, Rex is too far
she-
over the top,
She
and
didn't write rendition.
No,
Okay.
but she wrote a couple. Well, she wrote my absolute favorite episode of the whole thing, but we're not to that yet.
I love
Rex has moments.
Esther. I love Esther.
When he's
She's
on the
dumb, but
when
sometimes
he's-
she makes dumb decisions.
That's the only
sometimes.
instance I can think of where
Yeah.
she was dumb.
when he goes
Well-
to get him, and he's like, "Oh, I got to pay for this damn bridge now." I mean, Rex has these moments where it's like, "Okay, I want to like you," but then he immediately follows them up with, "Man, you're kind of a jerk." I just,
Kind of.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
really a jerk.
and he's a jerk to Esther, and he's a jerk to, yeah,
The people
I
saving his
just
life.
I don't like Rex. I do not like.
he's a
Rex.
jerk to Vera. He's a jerk to. I kind of.
And I liked Vera. I was kind of sad to see her go.
I was on the fence with Rex through the first watching and kind of going back into it. And I was like, okay, well, let me really look for something. And I kind of come down with you. It's like, I want to like Rex, but I don't.
Okay, interestingly enough, I didn't like Vera the first time I watched this through. I did not like Vera's character. I came back and watched it this time, and suddenly I took a shine to her, and I enjoyed her, and I liked her. And she was a great character, and she was very even, and she was well developed until the last episode with her in it, which is the 5th one. And she's figured that guy out. She's exposing everything, and then she starts calling him names and belittling him.
Yep.
And I went, oh, this is what I remember not liking about her is this particular scene, because she did not deserve what she got. But there's a little shade of you sort of brought that on. You pushed him to a point. I'm not defending the guy because he's a total scum and should. But it knocked her character down a few levels for me because I thought this might have been avoided had you not turned into an absolute.
Exactly.
at that point.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was so out of character for her.
And again, I think we need to tread very carefully. We are not in any way, shape, or form
No.
siding with
Because the guy
what's
was
his name?
the guy
Colin.
was a bigot. The guy was a racist. The guy was neurotic. He was crazy.
Kinda
Sexist,
feel
He
bad
was
for the actor.
sexist.
He always
He
gets
was
those
all of
roles.
these things that are deplorable.
inept.
Yeah.
Let's not to mention the fact he couldn't do the job.
And the stupid sidekick. That was the worst part ever. I wish that guy had been gone. The little military guy
yeah.
who was helping him out. I'm glad he sort of somewhat redeemed himself at the end, or the end of that story, but plot line. But
Getting ahead of yourself again.
oh gosh, I could not stand that little weasel, and the actor was terrible, and the character was completely out of character. That was the problem.
Just across the board, that was bad. And I felt like he was the plot device to give Colin a gun. That's really the only reason that entire liaison aide, whatever he was, the only reason he was there and tagging along and being such a non-character through the whole thing and being this such a non-entity was just so that there was a convenient gun for Colin to grab and shoot Vera. And it's like, oh, really? Yeah, not... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just... So...
I wish
I
wish there was more
cliffhangers,
balance to my negatives to this, because I don't hate this one. I just think Children of Earth set such a high bar, that this one just struggled to meet that benchmark.
In
Well, I
many
think
ways,
it also doesn't even quite meet the benchmark of season 2.
Oh, maybe individual episodes of season 2, but not overall.
I don't know.
Overall, I thought it was better than season 2.
I think so. It benefits from being one story, which I think I think with Children of Earth they realized that's the way to do Torchwood, is give them one mystery. A serial nature of it didn't seem to work out so much, but give them
that's
one
why
thing
I think season 2 was better,
latch
was
onto.
because there was less, there was Case of the Week, but there was a bigger overarching story throughout season 2.
It certainly
I
laid the
think I also like that story a
laid
little
the
better.
groundwork for the
Yeah.
miniseries. Yeah.
The problem that we're running into is Children of Earth. You're right. The bar was set so high.
Had this come before
can
Children
you-
of Earth, I think our views on it would be a little different.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Well, Children of Earth is the pinnacle. We knew that going into it. There's no way you can beat this. It's just-
And they
it's just-
don't
you
get me
just
wrong.
can't do it.
It feels like they were trying. They just struggled too hard to do
Yeah.
it.
And they took a lot of the elements they worked. We're going to do one story. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. They came up with a great way of doing it. I think the politics and the money of there were a few too many episodes, and we had to put some filler in there, which therefore created situations and characters that realistically wound up becoming worthless.
Agreed.
Which kind of downplayed it a little bit. There was something else that I was going to go with now, and because we were talking about Colin, and he kind of got me all riled up now. Wow, I did. As soon as he showed back, I was like, "Oh yeah, you. I didn't like you." That's one of the reasons I don't like this episode, because you're in it.
That was his name. I forgot what his name was. Yeah.
I had to look it up.
So my synopsis is a relatively strong start, with the exception of maybe the hiccup in episode 2 for me. But 1, 2, and 3 are a strong start to the story. I'm with Sean. I think 4 and 5 is where we sort of feel like we go a little bit off track. And
5
maybe-
more
and-
than 4.
Yeah, and maybe feels like the filler episodes, where we're starting to realize that we're going to have to pace ourselves, because the end's going to be the sprint. And so I think 4 and 5 begin that pacing of our story to kind of spread things out.
There's so much Scooby-Dooing in 4 and 5 where Ficor is the bad guy. And I'm sorry, you were in a warehouse. This is one of those things about Rex is in a warehouse full of drugs, and you didn't grab a box on your way out the door.
Yeah.
He's still hunting for these things. It's like, come on, really? Just take.
You've already broke in. You might as well just take some.
Breaking and entering. Now it's deceiving. Yeah, just take. They're the bad guys. But the fact that, so we've got Ficor set up as the bad guy, But then it's almost like we get distracted from that because the whole point of 4 is let's go get their server. So it's like, okay, we're going to go get the bad guy. And so we get information off the server. It's like, what are these camps? It's like, who cares? That's not the mission. You're going off
They
track.
get sidetracked.
You
Yeah,
get sidetracked by this.
absolutely.
Now, again, I understand the camps are important. I understand that that's part of that world building they're doing. But it's a little too much because now you've taken your goal off. Really, through the whole thing, everybody went running off to go do the camp mission and left Jack behind. And like, well, don't get into trouble. And he decides to go after Oswald. It's like, finally, somebody's staying on task. You know.
Well, that's the other thing is I think the Oswald. That's how I think shrinking this down would have benefited a little more because Oswald Danes, for such a interesting and intriguing and spiteful and disgusting character, they sort of seem to. They sort of seem to sway away from the character, and then they'll come back to him, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's right, he's here. He's part of this." And then they get away from him for a while, and then they bring him back. Oh yeah, he's part of this. So it was almost like if that scope of that could have been narrowed a little bit, that would have been.
It was almost too broad reaching with this worldwide.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't have felt like you were getting dragged away from what the importance of Oswald Danes was, and you would have maybe connected things. You don't need to connect things, but it would have connected the plot a little better and not made it feel like we'd gotten off track a few times.
Yeah. Did anybody?
But yeah, I did do the little punch the air. Okay, Jack's going. Jack's still on.
Go get him,
task.
Jack. When he went into the hospital, I was really torn because the dead is dead woman I didn't like. Automatic. Shut up. I don't like you. Hey, there's Oswald. He's like, why am I cheering for this guy? All right, yeah, you go get her. And he strides past, kind of gives the cameras a wave, and he locks himself in the hospital with all these, Category 2s. And he's like, we're going to fight for you. We're going to do this. And kind of the same thing at the rally. I got this. Yeah. I believe in you. I think. And then he picked up the kid.
Yeah, but that was a wonderfully calculated move on the writer's part. Is because. It was that whole you get roped into it again, and then that moment, and you realize who this guy is, and you go, "Whoa, wait a minute."
I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, you're that guy.
It's the ultimate politician. Oh look, I'm kissing babies, and it's like, no,
you shouldn't be kissing babies.
You should not be kissing babies. I mean, I'm trying not to make light of that, but it just the creepy.
Yeah, I agree.
But exceptionally well done. And again, it goes back to how good Bill Pullman was in this.
And how much he didn't really need Gilly, even though she convinces him.
What was up with that?
The weird thing is, she convinces him that he needs her, but the whole time he was really doing the best calculating of his of how best he was serving.
The only thing I can tell that Jillian brought to the table was FICORP. That's it. That's the only contribution in the first 5 episodes that she makes to his
careful
that she makes to his ascension is the fact that she put him in charge with the people who had the money and the power to use him as a mouthpiece.
Right.
Everything else that she was supposed to be doing as a PR liaison failed.
Yeah.
She didn't get him a dressing room. I don't care who these other people are. I don't care that they don't want to be close to me.
No.
Your job is to get this taken care of. Now, maybe Oswald's doing it. I don't care. Your job is to do this. We got bumped off of this because of this person. Your job, not my fault. And she kept trying to spin it back. Oh, you better hurry up and think of something, Oswald. It's like, it's your job. Yeah. You booked the tour. I mean, so yeah, I just, other than bringing FICORP to the table, I kept looking at Julie going, why are you here?
There was with
your red hair and your red coat.
There was a moment of me realizing, well, that's a real PR person putting your mistakes off onto somebody else. Still making yourself look good. Always selling yourself.
Well, and then the shadow man cock taxer in the stadium is like, we've been impressed with your work. I'm like,
what work?
Apparently I'm in the wrong line of business because I work hard and I don't get recognized for it. But you can screw up and get recognized for it and get a promotion and a raise. And okay.
Oh my god,
Chilly.
Yeah, that was a character that was unnecessary.
Definitely,
even up till the end. But we'll get there next week.
Yeah.
Even up till the end.
Julie didn't have a. I think the writers just kind of felt like they needed somebody to play off Oswald. I really think that's they created this and then they went, He's going to be on his own through the whole thing. So
Everybody in this show is purposeful, but not necessary. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, even the stunt casting, we needed a bad
Yeah,
guy
exactly.
at the CIA,
Exactly.
and Wayne Knight. Yeah, sure, we don't trust him automatically.
Oh God, I can't stand him.
And that's
my
kind of the
gosh,
fun
he was
thing.
horrible.
And even the agent on the plane, it's quasi stunt casting because that's Daishin Lichen.
Yeah.
Anyone who's watched Dollhouse or some other sci-fi, she's been in it.
I didn't know. She looked familiar, but I didn't know who she
She's a
was.
sci-fi
That's
actor.
what you wanted. Is you wanted somebody just familiar enough to go, I think I know who that is, and then to we're going to twist your neck around and let you wander
When
out
she
of the
came
tunnel.
walking, no, the tarmac. Well, she must have, but in the pickup lane. When she comes walking down the pickup lane, I'm like, well, that's just disturbing looking. And then I thought, okay, well, she's going to do something. No, he runs into her and she falls over. No, she didn't even run
She
into
fell
her.
over
She just
first,
fell
and then he ran over her.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, what was the point of showing me that, other than the fact that I think you're still trying to drive home the fact that no matter what you do to somebody,
Nobody
they're
can
still
die.
going to live.
Yeah.
But it seems like they didn't have to drill that home as much as they did. They were bashing you over the head with a point.
I don't know. It's an easy point to
It was
forget.
a bit surprising.
I think.
but
Yeah.
it was,
Well, I think
again, there's a lot of shock value in this.
I think there's a lot of. I think it's an easy point to forget. Oh, nobody
Yeah.
does. Even though
Okay.
we've spent an episode telling you people can still get sick, people can still get hurt, and Rex apparently is not healing at all because he's on the drugs.
In their 10-episode format, I concur that it's necessary. In my 5, it wouldn't have been necessary.
wouldn't have been necessary at all.
I'd have already been reminded 3 times in an episode that you can't die. So
Well, and even the world building kind of started to take a back seat in some instances when I don't want to get too far ahead. Which episode is it where I guess it's 6, so I can't talk about it, but they talk about the 42 story club. Mm-hmm. But it's a news report. It's not even a thing anymore.
Well,
it's just
and
you get just a glimpse of
I
it,
think
and then that's it.
The 42 story club was a progression from the Soulless cult that was roaming the
Yeah.
streets,
The
which we
Soulless
do get
ones.
a lot. The Soulless ones
Yeah.
that we get in the early episodes, which again, an almost. Everything,
padding.
everything
Yeah.
in there is almost there. It's like we start with these wonderful concepts, and then don't go anywhere with them. That's what this whole series felt like.
Well,
Even
isn't
this
it
first 5
interesting
episodes,
that we can
I feel like we're going somewhere and there's no payoff.
we have this huge epidemic where people are not dying, and we're talking about we need to manufacture drugs, we need to manufacture this, we need to manufacture this, but yet we've managed to manufacture a whole bunch of these dumb masks and hand them out in a week
Well, I
or
get the
however much
impression
time
that
has passed.
That was
but,
some splinter group that was just very
a
artistic.
lot of people were wearing them.
yeah, but I mean that was like anonymous. They're
Yeah, but
churning those masks out like crazy.
that made sense.
Whoever
The-
makes that beat from
Oh yeah, I was making a lot of money.
There's a if I'm sorry if here's where my brain went with it. If FiCorp was ready for the miracle because they had a whole warehouse. FiCor, if they were ready for the miracle because they had a whole warehouse full of drugs, the mask company knew what was coming because they had a whole warehouse full of those things ready to go. But this is the interesting about Wayne Knight, real quick. Is
No, there's nothing interesting.
there is because he's just recognizable enough name actor. He plays fairly despicable characters every time you see him, and so he's your level 1 boss. If this was a
Okay, I
video
can see
game,
that.
hey, look, here's Wayne
I
Knight.
can
You don't
see
like
that.
him. He's a bad guy.
I can
And then
see
you move on to the next one, which is, a slightly more interesting. Oh, see Thomas Howell. He's usually kind of a shadowy bad guy. Oh, he's a shadowy bad guy. That's the level 2 boss. And then we're going to move up the chain a bit. And here's
That's a great analogy for this series, Sean.
Yeah.
A video game.
yeah,
Because a lot of
more like-
times the story is way long drawn out and you want it to be over with. And you know that you could have told that story in a shorter time, but they have to get their 10 or 15 or 20 hours of gameplay out of you, because if you don't, you just spent $60 on something you beat in 2 hours. So it's that's a wonderful analogy. And having the boss levels you're
Boss levels
absolutely
is it.
right. They bring them up. Now, does it make it a better series because you put it in that light? No, it absolutely doesn't. But it's a good analogy.
Oh, you just wait, mister. We're going to talk a whole heap about the next 5.
No.
Yes, we are. Oh, I can't believe you guys. Seriously? This is you.
I
We've
go
peaked
back
for
and
you.
rewatch.
No. We haven't peaked, but let me,
For him?
Let me give you a little preview.
I'm trying to remember from
Let me give you a
the
little
next
preview. 6, 7, 8. Worst parts of the whole series.
Oh, completely wrong. Wrong.
But we'll get there next week. Spoilers.
I remember 6 not liking,
Yes. Despite Ernie Hudson.
despite Hudson.
Who's that next level boss? It's like, oh, you like Ernie Hudson? Guess what? He's the bad guy. Well,
No, he's not. He's that mid-level boss.
he's that mid-level boss.
That you go, oh, well, then maybe he wasn't quite as bad as we thought he was going to be. You know, we've built it up. It's because they're setting you up for the next level boss.
I think it's just because the next 5 feel like they're deviating from the intrigue as much. I think. Like I love.
Well, it's because we've spent too much time dinking around with
in the first 5
who didn't do it.
Yeah,
we're
getting too much into
But yeah, we're getting too much into the other.
I thought you guys were going to have to hold me back.
Then poor Vera died in a fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great
That,
cliffhanger.
and
It is a great
it
cliffhanger.
is a wonderful, impactful moment and a strategic roll of the dice to put it right smack dab in the middle of your story. Strategic roll of the dice.
That's going to get someone who maybe stick around halfway through. Okay, maybe I'll fall off. Oh wait, that's a. I'm coming
Yeah,
back.
I'm back in here now.
Because all bets are off. Anybody
unless you
can
really
die.
loved your character and you went, you killed her? All right, forget it. I'm done.
Oh, we couldn't kill Jack. Well, we could.
Then it would have been Game of Thrones.
You know what? Really, you can take away from the first 5 episodes of Miracle Day. Don't be the doctor for Torchwood.
Yeah, that's
Well,
a good
it's-
point.
yeah.
All the doctors bite.
All the doctors.
Except for Martha. Luckily, she didn't stick around.
She was smart.
She went back to uni.
She came in. She got out.
Well, I've done what I can here. I'm getting out before I die. You don't have a good track record with doctors. Medical doctors, anyway.
Do you
That's
feel
what
like
I'm excited to talk about.
Do you feel like Jack maybe issues them red shirts?
Here you go.
Torchwood right across the front. Why is red?
Oh, no reason.
You'll find out.
Yeah, but we've had so much lost in Torchwood. So much loss in Torchwood that red shirts are kind of out the door.
Well, even Rex, your team died, all of them. They were my friends. They're still dead. He's got a point there, Jack.
All right. Well, in summary, Sean thinks it's a good. No, Sean thinks it's a slow start. We think it's a.
No, I think it's a good start.
I think it's a good.
I think it's a good start with a slow middle.
Oh, there you go. And I come down on that side as well.
But you're totally wrong on episode 2.
No.
I can see the cocktail issue, and 4 is the dip.
Yep.
Goes back up at 5.
I think we all agree with the dip.
It goes
I'm
down
glad you acknowledge the cocktail issue.
But it doesn't just take away from the story, that episode for me.
Let me. And
I'm just completely. Gloss over that.
And I'll throw you a bone. There's some quite intense moments in that episode that really worked and played well.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that.
You are not giving me from all that.
That would be one of them.
And 5, I think, goes back up. It's 6 that drops it.
I think that the flight attendant, which I had been making a 5-episode story of this, I would have had to cut him. But the flight attendant that they kept accusing of being gay, I think that was a good moment, especially because we had something so serious and dark going on that we had
It's
to
the
do
levity.
these. We had to do these
Yeah.
the levity. We just had to do these little quick. Even Jack's comment, you're not staying with that thing. I was just those are the moments that you bring you out of that. Oh my gosh! Okay.
And that's how you could tell Jack was really not well off, because he didn't join in too much of the levity. He was pretty focused on not dying. It's just like, I loved his comment in the bathroom when he's like, I haven't built up any immunity. They're all out to get me. It's just kind of like, oh yeah,
And it immediately turns and vomits.
It starts picking his guts out.
I think that's another thing I like about that episode is, okay, the previous one we established that he's mortal, he's not dying. Never thought of what that really means for him, of the diseases and everything.
Well,
Kind of like the idea of no one dies. Okay, but let's really explore what that means.
I think that adds to the gravity of Jack's situation. I think episode 2. That's why I can't poo-poo this episode at all, altogether based on the fact that the antidote takes me out of the story. But it really did drive home the idea, the mortality, that the dilemma that Jack is in and nobody else is. You know, Jack is alone in this dilemma, where he's always been alone in the immortality aspect of it. Now he's alone in the mortality aspect of it, which is just a wonderful
alone.
turn of events.
Yeah,
there, so.
it's really interesting to see that. One other note, real quick, Reese.
He's wonderful all the way through.
More Reese.
I love Reese.
Just, I love the fact
Even
that...
when, I can't talk about that.
Well, I love the fact that at the beginning of the first episode, when they're sitting there at the old hub site, which... Bad plan. I'm sorry. You're on the run. And you're going to go back to where it all... What?
I think they think better next to the Rift.
Maybe that's what it is. They just felt like we really needed a call back to the pillar. We just have to have it in one shot.
And I also think that was a fan nod, too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But, yeah, we won't go long, but we'll go there enough to absorb.
There's a lot of stuff that, kind of like Keith, commented on the 4, 5, 6 and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's very quick callbacks that they throw in, because if you came to this not knowing anything and Jack's going on and on and on about so far away and so long ago and why is he immortal, they don't really cover any of that. They just kind of expect you to roll with it. And so as somebody who's seen it all, you're kind of rewarded for that, but at the same time I can see a new viewer being really,
what?
Why is he immortal?
That is something that I appreciated most about this, is the fact that it did not rely on having to explain all of this to them. It made it feel like a piece, a fourth season, to something that you should
as
have already
opposed to
done.
a reboot. Yeah. And that was,
now that's a
could have
bonus.
been easily.
That's a bonus for me who have been watching from the beginning. Unfortunately, it is a detriment to anybody that comes to the series late, because here's the other thing I should say about this is I don't think it's blatantly obvious. I don't think it's bad. But I think there's this undercurrent of Americanization of this show, because it does feel more American. And granted, it's in America, has a lot of American actors, but this feels a lot more Americanized, to borrow that term, than any of the Torchwood 4. So you can see the Americanization in it.
And a lot of that is with the scope, but I think a lot of that is just the fact that it's it's a Starz production, co-production. BBC's got their fingers in it, but it's, oh, look, palm trees.
L.A.
It's like the BBC.
I know where you
for one episode.
I know where you shot all of this.
Well, it's kind of like the BBC got to drive the story, and Starz got to drive who was going to star in it, where it was going to be located, is what it feels like. So, it's like, oh, look. Okay, we gotta.
There's always that.
Nobody can see that. I'm sorry, listener. I go after these guys all the time for doing that, and then I just did a visualization.
There's always that one scene when you go to the movie of the TV show. We made a movie, and it's going to fit in between these episodes.
Oh yeah.
And so you always get that moment where, for the general public who's coming to see this film, that you're going to get this 15-minute dissertation on the setup of the show that I already know.
Exactly why the Stephen King project for Dark Tower will not work in that format. Exactly why.
I disagree. But
you're going to argue my point.
Oh, you're talking TV series, movie, TV series,
movie, TV series.
Okay.
No, won't work because of this,
I don't think it should
of what
be.
You're talking about right now.
Here's an example though. X-Files.
That's why the
Fight the
movies won't
Future.
work.
So we're on the roof. We're looking for a bomb. We're doing FBI type things, and then Scully makes a comment about, "What are we doing up here? What happened to the X-Files? Well, they closed us down." And I thought, "Oh, here it comes." And then it was over, and moved on. I was like, "Oh, okay." So it can be done if it's done well. And what I thought was interesting is that Miracle Day didn't have that. At no point did they sit down to explain, this is what you're missing out on. If you haven't seen the rest
I
of it.
expected to go in. I expected
I
going
did
into
too.
it.
I did too, and I thought it was different.
Like even Serenity had that in the beginning scene of explaining the Earth that was,
Yeah.
etc.
It does well.
Yeah.
That's even shorter than most have.
Reese has grown so much as a character from when we first saw him, and the poor guy was getting retconned every other episode because Gwen was sleeping with Owen. And, he to the point where he's got a shotgun, and he's not afraid to stand behind the door and back her up and be ready to go with it. but yet he's also the one that completely calls it out when they're sitting there around the hub. And he's like, well, it's Jack's fault. And initially she's ready to admonish him for, you're just saying that. He goes, no, the whole world goes immortal. He goes mortal. Duh, it's got to be him. And just like, go Reese. You know? Yeah. And every moment that, despite the fact that he wound up being the lapdog for Gwen through most of it. Go get my father at the hospital. Go get my father in the hospital.
Yes,
go get my father.
Especially the first half.
Go get a job driving the truck. You can't quit your job yet. Go get the truck. For all of that stuff that goes on with him, that he's right there for. Yeah. And how he is the Rory of Torchwood.
He's a wonderful house husband.
Absolutely.
He is the Rory of Torchwood. He's that
a wonderful house husband.
Yeah, he is. And he made coffee.
Yeah, he did make coffee too.
So, all right, I'm done. I don't have anything else. At least until we watch the rest of it.
We're going to go right on to next week with the rest of it. So I'm sure we'll revisit a lot of the stuff we talked about this week. All right. Well, what's next on the schedule?
Well, next week what have we got this week? We've got tomorrow or tonight, whatever time this goes out, is Flicks with Friends X2
X-Men. I don't know why I do that.
X2
But that's
X-Men
United.
X2 X-Men United.
I always drop the United on it. You're right. X2 X-Men United.
You should consider our hashtag for that. Is it just going to be X2? It's going to be
X-Men
X-Men 2. X2 X2.
It really ought to be X-Men Divided, because they didn't unite over much in the show. But
yeah, they finally do at the end of it.
Not really. Go back and watch it. There's a lot of
we will.
Schism. Anyway, so that's...
We will. Hope you'll join us.
That's... sorry, I've got my feet up in your chair. Can I put my feet in your lap? So we've got X-Men for Flicks with Friends this week. For Friday Night Who...
X-Men 2.
We've got X2 X-Men United. For Flicks with Friends this week. For Friday Night Who, we've got the first 3 parts of Web of Fear with Patrick Troughton. And because it's a long one, and we're only doing the first 3 parts, that allows us to finish Torchwood Miracle Day next week. Now, because we didn't review any of it this week, you will also have the webcomic. So if you haven't got to it yet, you've got a couple more days that you can squeeze that in, and it's
less than 30
It's less than 30 minutes, however long it actually is, and supposedly...
It's 27 and some odd minutes.
So supposedly it inserted itself in between these episodes. I don't see how at this point, but we'll get to that next week.
Finishing it, I see how.
So okay. we're gonna finish Miracle Day. I'm gonna say Children of Earth. We're gonna finish Miracle Day, and we'll talk about Web of Lies, and kind of in total for next week's show. And then the following week, we will finish watching Web of Fear. And then we've got our first half of the Adversary Archive with the Great Intelligence, which I don't remember what all was included in that, but there was some other...
The Snowman?
The Abominable Snowman. Well, no, I'm sorry. Sorry. The Snowman, the Abominable Snowman, and
Web of Fear.
Yeah.
So I still need to figure out how.
And then after that is
I got to retcon that one.
And then the following week,
or recon that one.
The following week.
The following week is the second half of the Adversary Archive, and for Friday Night Who we're watching Bells of St. John, and then we'll be covering to continue with the Great Intelligence. We're going to cover
Downtime. Bells of St. John. Name of the Doctor, right?
Name of the Doctor. Yes.
Not name. Yes, name.
Name.
What is it? Well, you realize we now have a new series trilogy that we can't, because we have the 3 R's of the Daleks in the old soul, and now we've got the whatever of the Doctor in the new. we know what we're talking about. We just can't remember the title, unless it's Night. That one I know.
That's just it, though, because
it's a quadrilogy.
Yeah. Well, no, I still don't consider it a quadrilogy. I think name, day, and time is to me is still a 3-part trilogy. It's a 3-part story. Night, while cleverly named, is not. It's really a prologue.
Yeah,
is what it is.
Yeah.
It's either whether you say it's a prologue to the entire series, or trilogy, or a prologue just to Day of the Doctor. It works as a prologue, but it's not really part of that 3-part trilogy.
I consider it a prologue to the entire new series.
Sure, I mean, you can look at it that way too. But what I'm saying is, those 3 really are. They cleverly named it.
I look at it
just kept it in theme.
I look at it as a PS to the classic series. It's so good. It's so good. But so there's that.
All right, cool. I think there was something you wanted to bring up last week that we should touch on this week.
Thank you. to all of our listeners and to everybody who writes feedback and everybody who puts up with us invading your car radios and iPods and whatever that you were listening to us. We would not be here at 170. How many? What? 173 episodes strong without the very, very faithful listeners that we have, and I don't think we say it enough, so I wanted to say thank you for listening, and thank you for inviting us on the journey, and hopefully you'll continue to do so as we continue to put out stuff that for whatever reason you decide you want to listen to, even if it's inane babble about what we did and rain gutters and light bulbs. So once again, thank you very much for that, and if we have any new listeners who maybe are kind of new to the whole process, welcome, and you can find us on Facebook, and we're all on Twitter, and comment, and we would love to hear from some new people as well. Not that we're tired of our old people.
A lot of avenues to contact us and talk to us.
Yeah, so look at us on the contact us page, and we'd be happy to have you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for listening.
Yes, thank you. Is there anything else for this week?
More legacy.
That's what I'm going to be doing.
I'm going to have a hard time with finals because my iPad will be sitting there quietly.
I'm just amazed that you haven't started yet.
I'm scared. There's a part of me that's so ready to start, and there's a part of me that's like, it's only 20 hours of content. And it's hard.
I have two teams maxed out. Let's tell you how hard it is. I have 2 teams maxed out to the gills, and I'm utilizing the perks as well as I can, and I'm still struggling. I mean, granted, I'm 16 levels in, but I'm struggling. I've been struggling all the time. But I will say, I'm very proud to say, I've only used 1 time crystal, and that was on accident. Would
you like to use this? No.
It was on a level, and it always comes up, and I always say cancel. And it was on a level that I knew I could beat. I just had to get because I kept losing. I kept losing the level, and I felt like, okay, if I go in and get my perks tweaked just right, I can beat this. I could just see it was the end of the tunnel. I could see the light at the end. And at one point it came up, and I just, for some stupid, dumb reason, hit confirm instead of cancel, and I went, I could have beat this one. I wasted it. So, yeah, I have not used a time crystal yet, although there was one time that I almost did. In fact, it was the taco fan. But anyway, we've already talked about legacy. I'm getting us way off here. So.
More legacy.
More legacy.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week. Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Send feedback. Things will be great with your feedback. Join in the fun and send feedback.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.
James Bond.